Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Village of Royal Palm Beach Special Magistrate hearing for Wednesday, March 11th, 2020. My name is Doug McIbbon. I'm the Special Magistrate. As I like to say, if you have a code enforcement issue, you are in the right place. This is a good opportunity to turn off your ringers on your cell phone so you don't have to frantically do it later while the meeting's going on. First thing we're going to do is swear everyone in, and we'll probably do this once or twice as strays walk into the room. So everyone raise your right hand, say I do, and we're done. The lady in the white on the phone, that's, yeah, there you go, right hand there. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Say I do.
I do.
Everybody does. All right, most of our hearings tonight are going to be fine assessment hearings or violation hearings. And what's going to happen is when you hear your name being called, you will go over to the other podium and you will state your name. The attorney will walk over and show you some documents and pictures probably, ask whether you object. The village will put on its case, you'll get a chance to respond and put on your case, and I get to make a decision. That's pretty much the process for the fine assessment and the violation hearings. It flips for our few fine mitigation hearings. These people have already been through the process. They've had a violation order, a fine order, and now they're asking for relief from that fine order. I think that pretty much is the standard speech, so please take it away, Village of Royal Palm Beach.
Thank you. Amity Barnard, Assistant Village Attorney. We're starting with fine assessments, page 2 of the agenda, 19-1684, 144 Queens Lane, Ann R. Pierre.
Is there an Ann R. Pierre?
Is any?
You need to go up to that microphone.
Dina Foley, Code Officer for the Village of Royal Palm Beach. We would like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, order finding violation and fine assessment and notice of hearing and affidavit of service. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures. Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
Okay, so you have a signed green card, which means you have service. Also an affidavit of service, so you have double service. And it's a good, easy one to start with, I hope. Now, did everyone here sign in? That way they know how to pick you out of the lineup so you don't have to stay here till 9 o'clock. Okay.
Can you say your name for the record, ma'am?
And was Pierre.
Thank you. These are the exhibits the village would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the affidavit of service for the notice of hearing.
That's
Notice
the
of
one, yeah.
violation. Yes, ma'am, same. Previous order finding violation.
What's the violation is? What is the,
We can get there.
okay.
Exhibit 2 is proof of ownership. Exhibit 3 is photograph of the violations.
What's,
And this is, exhibit 4 is your affidavit of compliance. Do you have any objection to the documents?
no, I want to see what's wrong with that picture. What's the,
Covered, the violations covered windows?
Yes,
Boarded windows?
yes.
I see it, my son move it.
Any objection to these documents?
He move them out.
Yes, ma'am, this is the
Yeah.
compliance affidavit, so it
Yeah.
has been cured. Any objection to the documents?
Yeah, because most of them, that's the only one, or what else?
No, that's it. You're complied now.
All right, admitted. I don't know if there was an objection or not. I don't think so. Is this just going to be a finding of fact?
No.
No?
No,
You have
this-
some time out or time?
Yeah, this is a fine assessment hearing. It was out for 28 days, so it's a $700 fine.
All right, Ms. Pierre, they say you're, let me see the pictures. Kind of flash by them first.
It's on the side.
Okay. Gotcha. Yes, top,
Yeah.
got it. All right. All right, Ms. Pierre, they say your window was boarded up for 28 days before it was fixed.
It's not the window, it's a back it's not the window, it's by the patio. It's
Okay,
the
but there's-
patio, not the window. I My son's supposed to take it off, but he didn't, because I couldn't take it off myself.
But you did have a board over your opening there? It was covered?
Yes, the patio.
Okay, and I take it it's probably not a boarded up patio, so. You still have a violation here. All right, so what does the village want? A $700
Yes, sir.
fine order before it was cured?
Yes.
Okay. They say it was up for 28 days, your son finally took it down, and now it's cured, but you ran up a $700 fine in the meantime. There's nothing, as long as you own this house and it's homestead, there's nothing they can do to you. It's just gonna sort of sit there forever. So, given the level of proof that the village has shown, I'm going to have to grant the $700, no continuing.
Correct.
And this is also a little reminder too, when people see these violation orders, there's only one part of them that's in bold, and it says when you fix it, you need to call the code inspector or the code inspector so they can make sure that you get credit for getting it fixed in a timely manner and you don't get additional fines. So if you do cure these things, and I've seen people go home after the meeting and fix these things on the way home, you need to call just to make sure you get the affidavit of compliance that you have in the file.
I didn't know if I didn't know I was supposed to call.
Yeah, well,
That's why I was waiting to come here.
yeah, well, you can always come back for a fine mitigation hearing later on if you can show that this was done earlier.
Yeah, it been off. It been taken out already, so it fixed.
Okay, well, then you can come back for a fine reduction hearing and just be ready to prove when it came off so I can cut down the amount of the fine. Okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you very
So-
much.
I have to call them for them to come see it.
No, they've already come and seen it, and the fine has stopped. If they didn't see it, the fine would continue to go. So the fine has stopped. There's nothing they can do about it at the current time, but, you know, you may want to take care of it someday. So, next,
you.
please.
Next case is 18-2031, 9100 to 9250 Belvedere Road, Royal Palm Business Plaza Condominium.
Ah.
I would like to enter the following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, the new fine assessment notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, the previous order, and Exhibit 3, pictures. There's a new fine assessment notice of hearing because it was supposed to come back to hearing last month, and I missed it on the agenda.
Okay. All right, you have a signed green card, so you have service. Could you state your name for the record, sir?
Yes, Bruce Elkind.
And your title with the HOA?
I'm the president.
Thank you, sir. These are the exhibits the village would like to enter into evidence. This is the new notice of hearing. Supervisor Walker just indicated. Previous order granting continuance. Photographs of the violations. Give any objection to these documents?
No.
Thank you, sir.
All right, admitted without objection. So what do we have? A dead tree and missing foliage, shrubs and things?
Yes. Dr. Elkind and I walked the property, I think it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And there were a few things, and him and I tried to go into the businesses and talk to the people that were there. As of today, this is really the only thing that's left out behind there that's not in conjunction being used with a business.
So you're
Actually,
talking-
even South Party rental was all cleaned up in the back when I went through.
Okay, so it's just the little,
Can you explain that? It's not up on the screen.
Oh, so it's the, like that, it almost looks like a forklift type vehicle.
Oh,
that's out
QTI
there.
Incorporated.
Yeah, so.
Actually approached them Monday morning and I almost got physically assaulted.
Okay. Well, that was the one when, I think when we were there, they weren't there. We
Right,
tried
right.
to
That's
go
why
in
when I
there.
went Monday morning, I thought
Yeah.
I'd catch them and I did.
So- Did you
almost
leave
caught too
my
much.
business card for them?
Like I said, I almost got physically assaulted, so I had to leave.
All right, so that's the only one that's really left back there that's not being used in conjunction with the business the way that it's supposed to be. So, that's where we are with it, and all the landscape.
Okay.
The village, because this didn't get put on the February agenda, the village is asking for the fine to start running starting today rather than the previous meeting date, since it wasn't properly placed on the agenda, so that'd be a fine of $150 and continuing.
Okay, and $150 is what? How many days, or just today?
That's just today.
Okay. Mr. Elkind,
Yes.
I've seen you here a few times before. At least you're getting down to the
Yes.
end of the process, we hope.
I took some pictures. I don't know if it helps any, but the bank seems like they've started taking ownership, even though they legally don't own it, and they did some landscaping in the building 9200. So it's up front. It's starting to take some shape.
And I'm sorry, I misspoke, because the only thing left is that, whatever that machine is,
And
the
the
fine should be
landscape.
50, not 150,
Okay.
And the landscape.
and the landscaping. So $50 and continuing would be the order.
Now, who's the landlord for that business, or do they own that space?
The landlord is actually
The bank or the
the
prior
person that's still
developer?
in Taiwan.
The prior developer, as I would call him.
Not a developer, no.
Oh.
He actually bought the 60 units.
Oh, okay.
He sold it to $500,000 per unit to Chinese investors for their green card. Then he turned around and refinanced it with the bank for $8.5 million. Then he skipped out on the country.
Good work
There's
if you can
supposed
get
to
it.
be a March at the end of the month hearing, but now I'm told it may be on the docket in May. See, the investors are trying to put their lien ahead of the banks because the bank has a mortgage, but the investors are trying to get their green cards, so they're fighting over it.
Okay. Sounds like a wonderful international event.
And this has been going on for 3 years.
Oh, yeah, I know. I remember you from years ago, and it was much, much worse. We're actually getting down to the end point where it's looking at least
It's,
better and somewhat reasonable.
there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Good. Well, hopefully they'll resolve their issues and the person will move their machine inside and you can get that one cured.
Well, I think I'm trying to get them to actually leave because when they found out there's an HOA involved, they said, well, we don't want to get involved with an HOA, so we're looking for a new place.
Okay, hopefully they'll move out quickly.
Hopefully.
You need to call as soon as they do so you can stop the fines, because I'm gonna have to start.
It's
moving.
landscape too, so it's really gonna take, because they're not paying their dues and stuff, so it's gonna take till the bank takes it back.
Right, well, it's a lot less than it was.
So
believe
at that
me.
We're
point-
trying.
Yep. All right, so $50 a day starting today?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank
Okay.
you.
Starting now. You'll get an order in the mail, and hopefully this will end up finally getting done. You're so close.
Next is 19-0871, 390 South State Road 7, SCG Buckingham Square LLC.
I would like to enter the following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, order finding violation. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures. And Exhibit 4, the letter from the arborist.
My name is George McArdle, and I'm representing Buckingham.
What was your last name, sir?
McArdle, M-C-A-R-D as in David, L-E.
Okay. All right, you have the signed green card, so you have service. You have a nice long letter from a landscape architect.
Yes, ma'am.
These are the exhibits that the village would like to enter into evidence. First exhibit is the previous order granting continuance.
Yes.
Signed green card. Page 2. Exhibit 2 is proof of ownership.
Yes.
Just verification of
Yes.
ownership. Yep. Exhibit 3 is photographs of violations. letter from the landscape architect.
From Cutler and her. Yes,
The villages.
yeah, okay.
Do you have any objection to these documents?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
All right, admitted without objection. All right. So I see the landscape architect only identified 23 points of conflict.
Yeah, your previous order required compliance by 3/9. It's still out of compliance. It's been out for 2 days since your previous order. So we're asking for a fine to start running today at $100 and continuing.
All right, Mr. McCardle.
Yes, as I discussed the last time we were here, there were 23 items. 10 of them have been completed, I think, which is explained in the letter from the landscape architect. Those items, particularly the ones that are on the front perimeter road, are items that could be done without having it later destroyed by the remediation, which requires the removal of the parking lot and the trucking away of some of the subsoil. So everything that could be done without having to later lose it to the remediation process has been done. And of the remaining 13 items, 2 of them are watch items, as you'll see from the letter, where they're saying that the material, as long as it's watered and maintained, should be okay. And 2 of them deal with materials that are acceptable, but were different from what was on the landscape plan, apparently. And I think that our landscape consultant had told us that it was his understanding from Mr. Misermer with Kotler and Hurd that those were acceptable and that it did not have to be revised. So I think we're down to about 9 items, all of which are interior and all of which will have to be lost during the remediation process. The litigation is underway. There is a court-ordered case management which requires mediation by the end of November. And it just seems to be a shame to plant material that's going to have to be destroyed and to in effect spend the money and the material when it can't survive, according to the consultants, the remediation process. And we'd ask Mr. McGibbon that be given some consideration.
You're just making an economic decision. If you want to avoid the cost of planting the plants out front to come into compliance and destroying them, you have to weigh whether that is going to be more expensive than the how much a day fine? $100 a day fine?
50 a day.
Or 50 a day fine until it's completed. And
Pardon?
that's,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the amount.
it's a $50 a day fine. So
Okay.
if the cost of the fine is going to be less than, your cost of the vegetation installation, you can make that decision. But I think the village has given this enough time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've granted a continuance here before to try to get it into compliance, and if you're going to make an economic decision to suffer the fines instead of paying X dollars for landscaping and ripping them out, that's on you. But
Your
as it
previous
comes-
order was dated November 19th.
yeah, it's November and now it's March. Yeah, that's enough. So I'm going to have to start the fine running, and you get to make a decision as to whether to plant them and rip them or just wait and put them in and just pay the fine.
I understand.
Okay. And the fine is how much? $50 a day?
$100.
$100 a
Continuing.
day?
It was for 2 days, so $100 and continuing.
So it's 200 plus continuing.
No,
Well, what?
100 total. 50 per day.
Oh, 50
2
per day.
days, 100.
100 plus continuing.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's $50 per day, and it's been 2 days.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next, top of page 3, status/fine assessment hearing, case number 19-1717, 1104, Royal Palm Beach Boulevard, Ramco Crossroads at Royal Palm.
I would like to enter the following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, order finding violation. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. And Exhibit 3, pictures.
Excuse me, can we refrain from talking, please? The microphones pick it up. Thank you.
Excuse me, could you be quiet, please? When you want your case heard, you would like to have some silence in the background. If you do need to talk, you can go walk right out into the lobby. All right, we have a status fine assessment hearing. You can proceed.
Name for the record, just so I get it jotted
Hi,
down.
good afternoon. Jana Loda with Holland and Knight here on behalf of the owner of Ramco at Crossroads Earl Palm Beach, excuse me. I'd also like to invite Michael Brown, who is representative of the tenant, to be available to also review the exhibits.
Could you spell your last name again? I know we have it somewhere. but
Certainly, it's Lhota.
I would have killed that.
I know.
Can you state your name into the record so it's your voice?
Michael Brown for the tenant Dodo's Donuts.
Thank you. These are the exhibits that the village would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the previous order finding violation. Exhibit 2 is verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, photographs of the violation. Do you have any objection to these documents?
I don't.
I do. Number one, can you see him? Okay. You have a date here of March 11, 2020. Does that mean they were taken today, or is that just the date they're introduced?
They were
Today, they
taken
were
today.
As to Dodo's Donuts, the only one that I speak on are our vehicle that clearly says donuts on it. The other exhibit has nothing to do with my client. So I object that the exhibits are not a violation of the code as they're taken today.
All right, well, there are multiple violations of the code in this particular case, some of which involve your client, some of which do not, and I can separate those mentally, and I'm going to admit it because
Do
we
you
let
have
everything in
objections?
here.
And just so we're clear, I'll stand here just so we're on the record. I guess you're the respondent, representing the respondent technically, so are you giving Mr. Brown permission to further testify, or just with regard to the exhibits?
We are giving Mr. Brown not only the ability to speak, but also I will be yielding some of my time to address issues that are specific to the trucks at issue, which I understand are his tenants, and he represents that tenant.
We'll hear from both of you, that's fine.
And Mr. Magistrate, just for the record, I filed with the Code Enforcement Office a motion to intervene in the enforcement proceedings as the real party in interest, and I followed the standard and the guidelines that would apply in a circuit case. And therefore, I'd ask the court, the magistrate, at the time when we want to address the motion, I'd like to address it so that I'd like for my client to actually have its full time to address the issues if appropriate.
I let everyone have time to speak, so it's not an issue.
Thank you.
All right, so,
And I guess if I may, just so the record is clear, I'm not sure what documents you provided to the village. I was not provided with any documentation in advance of today's hearing. I have not been served with any documents, but that I don't think is relevant for today's hearing. This is a status/fine assessment hearing. Violation has already been determined. You already signed a previous order finding violation in January of 2020. We're not here to relitigate the merits, and I would strongly urge that we do not do that tonight.
okay, well, I have a feeling everyone's going to talk about the merits anyway, and it's going to happen, so we'll just go through it. I have to quit holding my face because it's not allowed these days. All right, so please proceed with your case. You have pictures, describe what you have and what the issues are.
Correct. There remain violations on the property, as you saw in the photographs that were just presented. Your previous order required compliance by 2/27. Those items are still in violation, so they've been out of compliance for 13 days, so we're asking for a fine to start running in the amount of $325 and continuing until compliance is achieved.
And that's for all of the violations of $25?
For all of the code sections that are there, the description hanging marquee signs installed without a permit is still on there, but that code section's not on there. That description needs to come off.
All right, so take out the hanging marquee signs?
Just
the
in the
narrative,
description,
yes.
yeah. The
Okay.
code section's not there.
All right, so, see, you're down one. And now we'll get to pallets and trucks. So what do we have for pallets and trucks here? We have a photograph, I take it, of a lot of pallets sitting behind there.
Yeah.
People turn these into doghouses and paintings of the American flag. You got a lot of material there. All right, and then we have the donut trucks parked in the back. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, verbal answers are better. All right, and okay, I missed this one the first time around. Okay. And they're not allowed? Ms. Walker, the trucks
No.
are not allowed back there?
No.
Okay. All right, so we'll start with you, Ms. Lota, since you get to represent the property owner and get to pick up the pallet question.
Yep. I can actually address both of them briefly, and then I'll, of course, invite
Go
Mr.
right
Brown
ahead.
back up. As you are probably well aware, back in January, this court considered the notice of violation and actually considered whether or not a violation actually exists. I believe both Mr. Brown and I both at that hearing, I think vigorously, argued whether or not the code was being properly applied. This court did find, or Your Honor did find, that there was a violation of the code. Following that, we did advise the tenant, as it related to the trucks, to come into compliance by the 27th. After that, I will ask Mr. Brown to speak as to what efforts they've made in terms of trying to come into compliance with the code. I will advise you that per our lease, which is why we did send them a notice, we authorized them to park up to 5 trucks as long as it was consistent and allowed by the Village of Royal Palm Beach Code. And upon the order that was issued in January, we of course asked them to come into compliance by the 27th. Anything else on that, I'll turn over to Mr. Brown. As to the pallets, we have been working with Publix. Those are pallets that are for Publix from their deliveries that they receive. I'm guessing multiple times a week. We had an opportunity to speak with Ms. Walker before the hearing to get a better understanding of exactly what are the expectations of the village as to those pallets, where they should be stored properly to not have a violation. We understand that now. Ms. Middleton, who's here with me today, who's the property manager, will be working closely with Publix to make sure that those are properly stored in the location designated by or identified by the village. So with that in mind, I would appreciate if you would consider just a brief 1-week delay in the imposition of any fines to allow us an opportunity to work with Publix to get them properly stored. Other than that, I will yield my time at this point to Mr. Brown.
All right, we want to stop this and just get the back and forth done on the pallets and then go on to Mr. Brown's client.
That's fine. The village's position, it would be that there were 2 months to remove the pallets, so I have to request that a fine can start.
Yeah, we're
running the day that
talking
compliance was not achieved and continue.
5 days at $25. It's not going to kill
Understood.
Publix. They make that much off of me in a week. I shop there.
Sure, they're now with all of the antiseptic
They're
washes
making
and toilet paper,
billions
right?
off of that, so.
So at this point,
Okay.
I'd like to yield to Mr. Brown.
All right, so the pallets, I think we're resolved there.
I thank you, Mr. Magistrate. As it pertains to the vehicles that they've offered in the evidence, our position, if you recall at the last hearing, was that the section of the code that the village, I think, had defaulted to claiming that it was in violation to park the vehicles was under section 23-49, subsection 6, small case B and D. And so the parking of our vehicle, the picture that they have as evidence, is simply a Dodo's Donut truck that's parked in a parking space at the parking lot that it is permitted to park in. And it's also, I might add, a daytime video. It's not even a nighttime video. And so the section of the code that they're relying upon says that a parking area can't be used to store any goods, materials, or inventory used in conjunction with any business or use on or off the premises. And subsection D, for the display of signs or advertising devices on vehicles, structures, or land. And we asserted at the last hearing that our vehicles do not fall in that category. Number one, those vehicles are not used to store any goods, any more so than Domino's Pizza vehicles are used to store goods, and they're there in the parking lot, or Napa Auto, they're there in the parking lot, particularly in the daytime. Or number two, that the vehicles are not there to display signs. They just have signs on them, just like Domino's Pizza vehicles have signs on them. And so there's Napa, which is also next door. And so our position is, one, we believe that we would request that the magistrate grant, since we're the ones that this is targeted to, that we would ask for a specific hearing so that we can have a specific hearing on these issues to present evidence or rebuttal to any evidence that the village offers suggesting that we're in violation. And so at the last hearing, since the landlord was really the subject of it, and we did participate in the discussion of it, I would request that, particularly as it relates to the parking of the vehicle in the parking lot, that my client, since it is the real party in interest, has a contractual right to park their vehicles there. It's in the lease, that I'd ask that the magistrate at least grant my client an opportunity to present its defense to these allegations regarding their alleged violations, so that they would have the due process rights to address that.
All right, response from the village?
I guess first and foremost, we already did have that hearing. It was in January. You were present, and there was a lengthy discussion. As you are also aware, Chapter 162 requires citation of the property owner, which is what the village has done to be in conformance with the state law. Again, my position, the village's position, is that we are not here to relitigate this. There already is an order finding violation. There are appeal rights underneath that order which were not invoked. So the time to dispute previous violations has lapsed. We're not here to re-argue that. We did that back in January.
All right.
Mr. Magistrate, I'm sorry. I would respond by number one. At the conclusion, and we do have a transcript, at the conclusion of the last hearing, it was noted that the village and the landlord would meet together to consider whether or not there was a possibility to amend the site plan. That's number one. Number two, my client, even though I was permitted to speak, my client was not the real, we did not control, well, my client was not the real party in interest. And all we're asking is that under our lease, we have the right, at least as it between the property owner and Dodo's Donuts, we have a contractual obligation. We have contractual rights, and my client has the right to enforce those. But as a tenant of a building that is the subject of this type of proceeding, we would also strongly suggest that under the law that we have a due process right to address the issue on our own, not through the voice of others and not in a roundabout way. And so in that regard, since I believe the transcript will reveal that at the last hearing, the issue before a final order was to be entered was so that it was to be put on a status, a hearing such as we're here now, which would have given the property owner time to meet with the village to see whether or not it was reasonable for the property owner to amend its site plan approval for the entire shopping center that would have globally maybe addressed some of the concerns you had. So our position, Mr. Magistrate, is that we would submit that the hearing, the order in the last hearing, whatever that was rendered, did not really apply to my client. And two, since we had requested a time to address this matter on behalf of my client, and it was reset for a status hearing, we would suggest that the time has not run for us to allow us to come in and present our own defense to these allegations which pertain to my client.
Okay. I kind of remember we had a nice full discussion over the last hearing. You want to interject, please go
If
ahead.
I may, I just want to clarify one thing that was my understanding of the hearing. Certainly, there was vigorous discussion by both Mr. Brown and myself in terms of the application, because I know I was bringing up examples of a florist truck and whatnot. By way of the time, and I believe Your Honor was generous in giving time to basically allow to see whether or not there was a ability to speak with staff and determine if the interpretation was correct and whatnot, and examples were thrown out there. I will not submit that there was an affirmative obligation by the landlord to do something, but rather my suggestions were more in the vein of just trying to give time so that the tenant could hopefully resolve the issue with the village.
Okay. Like I said, we did have a nice lengthy discussion, and I remember power cords going across parking lots plugged into trucks and trucks hanging around back there, and why don't you go in and you do a site plan modification to allow overnight storage of these vehicles, because I think it was admitted at the last hearing that the vehicles were being stored overnight, and I suggested that maybe it would be better to get a standalone location or something else where the vehicles could be left while this was happening, and none of that came to fruition, and I signed my order, and it's, here we are at this hearing, and what I have not heard is there has been an application for a site plan modification by anybody for any purpose.
Well, quite frankly, we don't even know what is going to be necessary in order to accommodate those vehicles overnight. Is it a matter of it's just simply an interpretation of the code? Is it a matter that it requires a site plan?
Well,
The solution has not been presented to us to make a decision as to exactly how we proceed. The goal in the conversation was to allow time to try to find that, to see if there was a solution, and then have that presented to see if it's something that might be able to be accommodated.
Well, the simple solution is modify the site plan to allow overnight parking of vehicles in the rear of the center. And that could have been done, and it hasn't been done. And as far as I am concerned, we had our evidentiary hearing last time. We're not going to go double down on evidentiary hearings and schedule a third. That has happened. So if the landlord and the tenant can't get together and talk about applying for a site plan modification, this is continuing to be a problem, and it's just going to result in a fine being issued.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all I can do in this position, especially where I am left. I did allow additional time of multiple months so these discussions could be had, and I might have given more time to allow the hearings to be held if such relief was requested, but it hasn't been. So here I am back here, and I think we're going beyond the status/fine assessment parameters of this particular hearing by trying to re-argue the merits.
Okay, one final point, Mr. Magistrate. Counsel asserts that she was unaware of the motions. The motions were sent to the Code Enforcement Department's office, and I'm not sure why she would not. If she's unaware of them, it's because maybe their office did not forward them over to them. But we definitely sent them to the Code Enforcement Department's office, assuming that they would then convert them over to their attorney.
When, Mr. Brown, when were they sent? And how?
Via email and regular mail.
When?
March the 7th.
Okay. I was made aware of them yesterday, but certainly between...
Oh, I thought you said you were unaware.
Not by you. I was never... I told you, I said on the record that I wasn't served with anything. I was made aware of them by the attorney for the shopping center yesterday, but certainly did not have any time to review them, but that's a different process anyway. So, go ahead.
Just for the record, I was out of the office on bereavement, and I got back to the office today, so I found them mid-morning today.
Okay.
We did send them then.
All right.
Yes, they
It
were
sounds
sent, I
like this
believe,
is a
mailed on
continuing-
Saturday, and we got them
Yeah.
in the mail yesterday.
Well, this is a continuing problem that needs to be fixed by someone, by either modifying a site plan or taking the vehicles and storing them somewhere else in the overnight hours.
And addressing the pallets.
And the pallets also is another landlord item that needs to be checked off, so I'm going to, what is it, it's $325.
It's 13 days out of
This
compliance.
is the same fine for someone who doesn't put their house numbers up, so you're not getting tagged for anything more than what people get for leaving their garbage cans out. So it's $325 plus continuing is granted.
Thank you. Moving to violation hearings, case number 19-1810-2940 Fontana Place, Mark S. Hirsch and Sherry R. Freimer.
Gail McLean, Code Enforcement for the Village of Royal Palm Beach. The code section is 15.8, prohibited vegetation. I observed this violation on 12/29/19, mailed the notice of violation, notice of hearing certified, and posted on the property. Like to enter into evidence, Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing, and affidavit of service. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership, and Exhibit 3, pictures.
All right, you have an affidavit of service, you have service, and you can proceed.
Your name for the record, ma'am?
Sherry Fremer.
Thank you. These are the exhibits that the village would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the affidavit of service for the notice of violation and the notice of hearing.
Yes, I had called to extend it. I
Okay,
have,
we'll get there. Hold on just one second. We gotta get through the documents and we'll get to the merits. This is the notice of hearing. Notice of violation. Exhibit 2 is verification of ownership. And Exhibit 3 is photographs of the violations. Do you have any objection to the documents?
No.
Okay.
All right, admitted without objection. All right, so the wonderful Florida holly tree, AKA the Brazilian pepper.
Yes.
My mom used to have one in the yard. I used to be able to pull my Jeep up to that tree and pull my motor out of my Jeep in like an hour.
that tree's been there 20 years. I had no idea until they told us. We tried to trim it because I didn't know that the whole thing had to come off at first, but it keeps growing. And I'm aware now. I've had a lot of problems. I have a very sick 94-year-old mother, so I've been back and forth in the hospital and trying to get her home, and I just called to extend it. I will get the tree out. I have spoken to somebody to do it, and I just had asked for an extension, and I think I was granted till
Well, I explained to you what we were going to ask for at the hearing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I also remember one summer job where I was cutting down trees, standing in the middle of a Florida holly with the chainsaw and just dropping it on top of
It's
everything.
very, very, very
And I
heavy.
had
I
to-
had somebody come.
I had
yeah.
to cut down the trunk, and then I think we poured poison into it. They are hell to kill.
That's what we were trying to do, cut it and then spray it with some kind of
It'll come
chemical,
back
but it doesn't
forever.
work. I know.
It's a wonderful weed. They brought them in with the melaleucas and other things to destroy our environment.
It's very pretty, though. It's tremendous, but it
has
keeps growing
pretty
like
little
crazy.
Red berries on it that look really good around Christmas time.
Yeah,
All right,
that's,
so what time are we going to
We're
last
asking
this?
for compliance by April 30th or the May 13th fine assessment hearing, or $25 a day fine.
435, 13, 25, and you will call as soon as that thing
absolutely.
is taken down so you don't get fined and you get that wonderful
Absolutely.
affidavit of compliance in your file. Thank you.
Okay, thank
435,
you.
13, 25 is granted.
Thank you. 20-0060, 117 Granada Street, Brian F. and Christina L. Kidder.
Code section is 2657, shed in the setback without a permit. I observed this violation on 1/17/2020. Mailed the notice of violation, notice of hearing certified and posted on the property. Like to enter into evidence, Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing, and affidavit of service. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, picture, and Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
Okay. You have an affidavit of service. I'll put them in the right order for you. They're a little shuffled.
Yes, it's Brian Kidder.
Thank you, sir. These are the exhibits that the village would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the affidavit of service for the notice of violation and the notice of hearing. This is the notice of hearing.
Okay.
Notice of violation.
Yes, ma'am.
Exhibit 2 is proof of ownership.
Yes, the house?
Yeah, just
Yes,
showing your ownership,
correct.
verification of ownership. Exhibit 3 is photographs of the violation. One photograph. And Exhibit 4 is affidavit of compliance,
Yes, ma'am.
showing that you're in compliance. Do you have any objection to these documents?
No, they look good.
Thank you.
No, especially the affidavit of compliance. That's his favorite one. Finding a fact,
Yes.
granted. No fine. Thank you for removing it.
Yeah, we removed it.
Yeah, and
No,
you're
it'll
getting
be
no
here.
fine. You'll get an order saying that you have no fine.
Okay.
So if you want to put another one back, you got to go through the permitting process and get it cited in the right place.
Who would I have to go there to find out the full rules? Because it's been there for like 16 years.
Yeah,
just wanted-
unfortunately, people will buy things that have been there 20 years,
Oh,
and
I
they
put
won't
it- I
find
put it
out
there.
until,
I
the
put
code
it-
enforcement person comes by that it's in the wrong place, and you're the one who gets stuck with it because you're the owner, the other person just got away with
I'm
it.
the one that put it there.
Well,
And I went to the code enforcement here and I said, do I need a permit?
yes, you do. You're going to need to get
And
the
what's the
building
whole-
permit package, and they're going to need probably a survey of some fair recent vintage in order to make sure you avoid the setbacks and things. I put a large playhouse in my backyard, and I had to put it on the survey and show that it was more than like 20 feet from the back, and more than
That's
10
fine,
feet
no.
from the sides. So you don't put it in the setbacks, because at least in La Mancha where we live, we have underground utilities, which are wonderful, But when you put things on top of them, you know,
Is it like a 10 by 10? I keep hearing 10 by 10. It has to be 10 foot off each fence or every fence?
that's, you'll go talk to someone there and they'll explain it to you. It's whatever's in the setbacks, it can't be there. So sometimes it's a 10-foot, sometimes it's a 20-foot. It could be even wider depending on,
Okay.
you know, where you are located, if you're on a waterway, all kinds of things changed it around. So
That's why I was
just go over
surprised.
there.
I was like, wow, it's taken down. I want to put it back up, so. I
Yeah, well, you
come
just have to put it
do
in the right place, but here's another thing. If you do have a survey, try to get the same surveying company to do it again.
Okay.
They'll kind of cheat and go, oh, yeah, we still see the pins, and they'll recertify it cheaper than if a new surveying guy goes there.
Okay.
Great. Finding
Thank
of
you.
fact is granted. Next,
Thank
please.
you. Next is 20-0061, 129 Granada Street, Jose and Besabe or Besabe Valencia.
Code section is 6190A, tarp on roof and drive and sidewalk stained. I observed this violation on 1/17/20, mailed the notice of violation, notice of hearing certified, and got the green card back signed but not dated. I'd like to enter into evidence Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing, Exhibit 2, verification of ownership, and Exhibit 3, picture.
All right, signed green card equals service. You can proceed.
Can you state your names for the record?
Jose Valencia. This is my father.
Okay. If he speaks, we'll need his name for the record as well. But if he's not going to speak, it's okay. Can you state your name for the record?
Jose Valencia.
Thank you, sir. These are the exhibits that the village would like to enter into evidence.
Times two.
Exhibit 1 is the notice of hearing, the notice of violation, as well as the signed green card. Exhibit 2 is verification of ownership. Exhibit 3 is photographs of the violation. Do you have any objection to these documents?
No objections to the
Thank
documents.
you, gentlemen.
All right, admitted without objection. Okay, we got an easy one and a harder one. So the driveway and sidewalk need to be
The
cleaned?
driveway and sidewalk have been cleaned,
So that's
but it's
a
the same code, so
same, okay, is that a finding of fact on those then?
no,
No?
it's the same code as the tarp.
I'm just saying, is the driveway and sidewalk stained? Not a problem
It just
anymore.
wouldn't be on the next order, the verbiage, yes.
Okay. And the tarp's still on the roof?
Yes.
All right, so you cleaned the driveway and the sidewalk, but you still have a tarp on the roof. And
Good evening,
you're going to
Magistrate.
tell me why.
Good evening, everyone. Back in October, we had some solar panels installed into the roof. And we had 2 sets of solar panels, a total of 24 of them. One set, it was faulty installation. So I am dealing right now with the insurance carrier for the Fort Pierce Solar Company to come and fix the leaks that were caused by their installation. I have a letter here from the insurance carrier that I'd like to present to you, letting you know that they have come to the house to assess the situation and the damages, and they're presenting this to the solar panel company so they could come back out here and repair the installation of the solar panels that caused the leaks. Mind you, there were 2 sets of panels installed. One of them is perfect. The solar panels work fine. However, my dad and I, 84 years old, climbed up onto the roof on Christmas week because the leaks started coming in the dining room area, and the entire ceiling fell down into the dining room table. We put the tarp out there not knowing exactly which anchor the leak was coming from. After the ceiling came down, we stuck our head up and through the rafters, and we noticed the mold and the mildew and so forth, and we don't know exactly which one. So right now, I do have a letter from their insurance carrier letting you know exactly that they came to the house in February to come and inspect the damages, and they're forwarding this information to the Fort Pierce Solar Company to come and get it fixed for us.
Do you have a copy for the village?
Yes, sir.
Good. Show it to council.
You could take the original.
That's a copy.
Okay.
You can keep the original.
Got to keep my hands off my face. All right. Let's see what we have here. All right. You have any objection to their
No, sir.
document? Admitted without objection as defendant's number 1. Okay. File a letter to insured. All right, so we have a problem that is not even of his making.
Do you have any sense for when it's gonna be remedied?
I've been dealing with them since the holiday week, and right now, every week, I follow up with them to find out when are they gonna make a decision to come out and fix the roof. It's a matter of them pulling out this set of solar panels, placing it somewhere else, fixing the damages, and then putting the solar panels back again.
Okay. All right, so you were gonna probably do the 4:30 thing with him. Let's give him some more time.
Yeah, let's, and if we could have your order have status/fine.
Status fine is good.
I guess some reference to status in there. We were gonna ask for 4:30, but
Let's give him 5 something and then the 6 meeting. Or 6 something
even
in the
right, yeah,
6 meeting.
6/5,
6:05 and 6, what's the date of the meeting?
6:10.
6:10, 25 potentially, but just a status/fine assessment hearing.
It's a violation order, so it's gotta
Okay.
establish, yeah, we'll set the fine assessment as status/fine assessment, the 6:10.
Okay. All right, we're gonna, they normally are giving until the end of April for these. I'm giving you until June.
Thank you very much.
Gives you a little over a month or another 6
$25
weeks.
a day, if need be.
$25 I've already put on there. So keep hounding them and keep giving progress reports to code enforcement so they know that you're working on it.
Will do.
Okay, and we may see you again in June. Hopefully they will have started doing the repairs because that's the rainy season.
It really is.
So, all right, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Sign that order. Okay, next, please.
Top of page 5, 20-0051, 729 Hibiscus Drive, William Rogers.
Code section is 06190H6191. Storm shutters and boards are covering the windows. Windows are broken. I observed this on 1/16/20. The notice of violation, notice of hearing were mailed out on 1/16/20 and were posted. We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation. Notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. And Exhibit 3, pictures.
All right, you have an affidavit of service. You can proceed. Oh, we were about to lose part of yours. There you go. Your name for the record, sir?
William Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Thank you, sir. These are the exhibits that the village would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the affidavit of service for the notice of violation and notice of hearing. Notice of hearing,
And I'm 60 now, so, you know, I'm like the high
notice of
risk.
violation. Exhibit 2 is proof of ownership.
Fortunately, I'm healthy.
Exhibit 3 is photographs of violations. Any objection to these documents?
No.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, Mr. Rogers, they're saying there are boards covering some of your windows and you need to have them fixed.
Yeah, I tried to go pull a permit, but they won't let me. So I'm just asking for some more time because I'm going to have to have somebody replace the windows.
All right, so they won't let them do an owner occupier or whatever it is on this?
I don't know
I don't know
why.
if you went
You're
to the,
the,
yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't.
Yeah,
you're
they
the
normally
property
should let
owner.
you, is this your homestead property?
Not right now, so that's why they won't.
Oh,
let me.
that's, oh, there we go.
Right.
Otherwise,
Okay.
got it. All right, so what are we looking at, end of April? Is
Yes,
that a
sir.
good time frame for you?
Just a couple months to get the estimates and get somebody over there. Yeah.
So they're looking at 4:30, correct?
Correct, compliance by 4:30 or 5:13 or $25.
So does that give you the time?
Maybe just a little bit more. They're all pretty busy right now, so it's hard to get it done quick.
I always say this
Can
is
we
the
bump it
time.
out to 10 days and do right before the hearing, 5:10? Gives another 10 days, that's,
Alright.
that's 2 months.
All right, 5:10,
That's fine.
and then what's the hearing, 5:15 or
5:13.
5:13? All right, and or $25 and, yeah, if you, okay, get it done, at least
No
get
problem.
your quotes in, at least if you have to show up at the hearing and go, I need another week.
Okay.
I'll
Special
know
mention
you're
of-
working.
Can we do the 11th? I'm sorry, this 10th is a Saturday, Sunday, rather.
Yeah,
5:11.
11's better. All right, 5:11. Yeah, one more day.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Rogers, have a good evening.
All right, you too.
Next is 20-0112, 1255 Chorus Way, Javier Giloa.
Code section is 9-8. Hedges are over 4 feet. I observed this on 1/24/20. The notice violation, notice of hearing were mailed out 1/24/20 and were signed for on 2/4/20. We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures. Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
Okay, this will be easy. Signed green card equals service. Finding fact, brought to my notes.
Javier Ulloa.
These are the exhibits the village would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the notice of hearing, the notice of violation with the signed green card. Exhibit 2 is verification of ownership.
Yeah.
And Exhibit 3 is a photograph of the violation. Exhibit 4 is the affidavit of compliance. Any objection to these documents? Thank you, sir.
All right, so it's finding a fact.
Yes.
It is granted. They're just saying that you fixed it in time, so there's no fine. But if it happens again, you'll be in trouble, so keep your hedges trimmed, sir.
Thank you very
Finding
much.
a fact is
Thank you,
granted.
Javier.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next,
Top of page
please.
6, 20-0194, 1357 Thornbank Lane, Herbert and Javonda Porter III.
Code Section 2318B3B and B2D 15132, vehicle parked on the front lawn, trailer parked in the swell, bare spots in the yard. I observed this on 2/6/20. The notice of violation, notice of hearing were mailed out 2/7/20 and were signed for on 2/13/20. I'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures. Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
Oh, you're on a roll. Straighten everyone's stuff out. All right, you have a signed green card, you have service. Sir, your name is?
Herbert Porter.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, these are the exhibits the village would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the notice of hearing, the notice of violation, the signed green card. Exhibit 2 is verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, photographs of the violation. And Exhibit 4 is the affidavit of compliance. Do you have any objection to these documents?
No.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so he's fixed it.
Yes.
So you're just going to get the same finding of fact, which means you're in compliance now. There will be no fine. Just try to keep the situation the same so it's in compliance. Okay, sir?
Thank you.
Thank you.
20-0038, 133 J Court, Lisa D. Hazer.
Margaret Hancock, Code Enforcement Officer for the Village of Royal Palm Beach. Code Sections 14.2 and 9.42, miscellaneous items, fence and screening is in disrepair. I observed this violation on 11020, sent out notice of violation, notice of hearing on 11020, and posted it to the property. I'd like to know the following documents and evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing, affidavit of service. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
Okay. You have an affidavit of service. You can proceed. Touching all these papers.
These are the exhibits that the village would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the
No.
affidavit of service for the notice of violation and notice of hearing. The notice of hearing,
Sorry, habits.
notice of violation. You wanna see that again?
Yeah, 'cause I got that one.
Exhibit 2 is verification of ownership. And Exhibit 3 is photographs of the violations. Do you have any objection to the documents?
No, but this has been fixed.
Okay, we can get there.
Okay.
Yeah, so no other objection?
Is that it?
Yes. Thick paper.
All right, admitted without objection. You are Miss Hanser?
Hazer.
Hazer, okay. All right, and you say you've already repaired some of these items?
The fence on the side, we pull it down whenever we need to go back to the back to get stuff out. We're right in the process of remodeling a bedroom, so we've gutted it, and we're putting it back together now. So there is a trailer in my backyard to catch the debris, and then we're gonna haul it all off.
Okay, well, I don't have a trailer in the backyard is a problem here, so.
The fence you're saying has been repaired,
We
and
put the-
that's not up to code, and there's a lot of miscellaneous items alongside of it as well. So you need to work on that a little bit more.
Which one is that?
The one that you said was repaired on the left side of the home?
We put the wood back like we told you we were going to, and we've been just moving it to let things out, but
I was referring to the chain link fence.
yes.
You would need to get that up to code as well.
All
And
right.
remove all the miscellaneous items
You
that are
mean the
along it.
umbrella? I think there's an umbrella in front of
It's
that.
like a table and
That's
other items.
a
and-
lawnmower that we can't move.
Oh, see, I was jealous of your lawnmower because I
Yeah.
want a big lawnmower, but
Yeah.
no, I have a little John Deere. All right, so what time, 4:30?
Yeah, compliance by 4:30 or the 5:13 fine hearing or $25 day fine.
Where can you park the trailer since you said I can't park it in the backyard?
It can be on one side of the home and it would have to be screened from view.
So one side of the home
Mm-hmm.
behind the fence, as long as it doesn't encroach into
What?
the
So
backyard.
if you can
say that
push the
again?
lawnmower back a little bit and put the trailer in front of that and then put that screening upright.
You're
The screen
golden.
keeps falling down. I don't know what comes through my yard, but every night it just, something knocks it over. I don't know if it's the wind or something. I have nothing to anchor it to.
You
So
could put some posts in the ground.
Put a 4x4 in the ground.
I don't need to pull a permit?
Not for that, no.
Okay,
Yeah,
If
you
it was
just,
a fence, you would, but not for that screening.
okay. That'll work.
4:30, 5:13, 25. Once you get it fixed, give them a call so they can give you the affidavit of compliance proving it's done in time.
What date?
4:30, end of April.
Okay, perfect.
All right, you'll get an
you.
order in the mail.
Thank you. Next is 20-0042, 353 Sandpiper Avenue, Richmond, Dorellis, and Renice G. Francois.
Code section 06190A1, roof is in disrepair. I observed this violation on 11420, sent out notice of violation, notice of hearing on 11420, and it was signed on 12220. I'd like to enter those following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
Okay. You have a signed green card, you have service, they do pretty roof wraps. Please state your name for the record, someone.
Do you know, Mom? My name is Francois.
And your name?
I'm Rosalind Dorlis. I'm her daughter.
Are you gonna, if you're gonna be speaking, we need to get your name for the
Yes,
record.
Rosalind Dorlis.
Rosalind, could you
Same
spell your
last
last
name?
name?
Spell your
Dorlis.
last name?
Dorlis, D-O-R-R-E-L-U-S. Same as my father.
Same as the one that's on the agenda.
Oh, okay. Dorlis, okay.
Thank you. These are the exhibits that the village would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the notice of hearing, the notice of violation with the signed green card. Exhibit 2 is verification of ownership. And Exhibit 3 is a photograph of the violations. Any objection to the documents?
All right, admitted without objection. Very nice wrap on your roof. What's wrong with the roof?
We have some leaking going on, and they're currently fighting with their insurance company. So I'm not sure when they're gonna get to some kind of agreement with the insurance company. They have an attorney also working with them. So the attorney has suggested that they cover the roofs to prevent further damage.
Right, your attorney is telling you to mitigate the damage, but you don't have the money to fix it, and you need to get a permit to leave it up there, but that's probably part of the,
Yeah, I told her I
Fight with
had
the
called on the
insurance
phone. I did
company?
not know that they needed a permit to cover the roof, but then I found out they needed to get a permit to cover it first.
yeah. If you had a re-roofing permit, you could do that and put that on there as part of the re-roofing process, or at least the time limit of the permit. So, okay, I hate these insurance company fights because it's really not your fault that you're fighting with them, so I'm gonna do this as probably, all right. So you want them to comply when? I'm gonna probably do this as 6/5, 6/10.
Yeah, the 6/5, 6/10 dates are fine.
All right. Since I understand it's not, caused by you and you're fighting with your insurance company, everyone else is getting till the end of April. We're giving you till almost the middle of June, and hopefully you'll have some kind of resolution to this. Tell your attorney to set it for trial. They usually get a lot more serious when they're looking at a trial
He
date.
said he has some kind of meeting with them next month, because I
Yeah,
had
and
called
you-
him about that.
You may have a mediation or something. All I can tell you as a trial attorney, these people really want to settle before trial, and they really want to stall you until trial. So hopefully you get your guy to set it for trial and make them serious.
And so that would be a fine assessment hearing and $25 a day fine?
Yes, ma'am.
6/10, thank you.
Okay. All right, you'll get an order in the mail, so we'll try to get it done by the 30th or the 5th of June. And just keep them informed.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
20-0050-1146 Concert Way, Otis L. and Julie Evans.
Code Section 2318B and 2657, parking on the back lawn and shed without a permit in the setback area. I observed this violation on 11520, sent out notice of violation, notice of hearing on 11520. They signed for it on 11720. I'd like to enter those following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
Okay, you have a signed green card, you have service.
Can you state your names for the record, please?
Otis Evans.
Julie Evans.
Thank you. These are the exhibits that the village would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the notice of hearing, the notice of violation. With
What's the violations?
green card, we'll get
That one's new to me. Never got cited for that.
there.
Okay.
This is the notice of violation.
For today?
Yes, sir. This is exhibit 2, verification of ownership,
Okay.
and exhibit 3, photographs.
That's
of
not
the
our
violation.
house.
That's okay.
Any objection to the documents?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not our house.
Picture there is not my house, but whatever she's talking about, that's fine. We can.
Is
That's
yours?
mine. Yep.
That's what the
Okay.
photograph is of.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, admitted without objection. So what's the parking on the back lawn? Is that the
trailer.
the trailer? That's what I thought. All right, and the shed is in the setback?
Yep, and it does not have a permit.
Okay. Your turn.
All right. As far as the shed goes, that shed's been there for 18 years, and there was a permit that was pulled for that shed to be put in. I mean, it's been there for 18 years, and she's been in my house before, and we haven't had a problem until now. I'll
right.
find that permit, but the permit, it's 18 years it's been there. I moved it on the property, but the permit was there for the shed.
But you
Well,
relocated
see,
the
that's-
shed.
See, you have a permit, but the permit is for a specific location. It's just not to say you can have a shed anywhere.
Okay.
The shed has to be in a spot that's located so that it doesn't violate setbacks or do anything like that. And if you
Okay.
had it permitted for one spot, you've got to move it back to that spot.
Well, I mean, I'll just get a permit. I mean, I'll just get a re-permit if that's the problem. I mean, it's
Well,
it's
all
in
I
a-
gotta tell you, it's gonna cost you money for the survey. It's gonna cost you hundreds of dollars for a survey. If you have an existing permit that shows you're allowed to have a shed in that one spot,
I have a survey showing the shed on the spot.
and you put it back in that spot, and if they have the permit.
He has a new survey, recent survey. They
Oh.
just put a swimming pool in.
Okay, well, then he has a
But-
good new survey. Try not to cost you extra money on these things.
Well, I mean, I'm just lost here because she says I have no permit.
Well, no, you
So-
don't have
so
a
if there's
permit
no
for the
permit,
shed.
So I just get a permit for where it's at now then?
Yes, you need a permit for where it's at now, because
Okay.
the old permit was for where it was.
Well, she said I never had one.
Well, that's
Not
just
for where it's
semantics.
located.
Now.
You're just
Right.
arguing semantics in front of me. It doesn't really matter. You had a permit for one spot in A, now you're at B, so you have to get B permitted.
Okay.
That's all. So permit for A is sort of irrelevant to where B is located.
Okay.
And then the other is parking on the lawn.
Yeah, he needs to move the trailer up to where it fits within the footprint of the side of the house.
All right, what they're saying is you can't have part of the trailer beyond the back of the house. It has to fit on the side, in
Okay.
between the sides.
All
So
right.
if you move the trailer forward so it fits in between the sides, you're good.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm here, I guess, because that's your rule, but now we're to our safety. I've had my bikes ripped off, stolen out of my property, out of my trailer, broken in, took the back door down, stole out my merchandise. I have a legit NASCAR in there now, and like I told her, it's up against my shed to where that back door will not come down. We've had a murder in our neighborhood 2 days ago. This neighborhood where I live is very not safe. I'm taking my own safety and precaution for my own property. So that's
Okay.
why my trailer is parked back 5 feet. It's 5 feet back. So it's 5 feet to make her happy or 5 feet to make me miserable. That's where we're at.
Well, no, if the 5 feet to make you miserable is also going to run up a fine, you're going to come out here in 5 or 10 years from now and be staring at a $70,000 fine because you violated the code. If you want to change the code, this is what I tell people, it's not the right place.
Well, that's why I'm
Well,
here.
actually, I take it back. This is the perfect place, it's not the right day. You need to come before the village council when they're all sitting here and get them to change the code for you. And I've actually had people do that.
So I will.
And let me
Because
tell,
it's not
let me tell
safe.
you why. We used to have a rule in Royal Palm Beach that you could not have ladders on top of trailers or vans or things of that nature. And they kept coming in because they were getting cited because of that regulation. And I kept saying, you have to go to the village council. And they went to the village council and they got the rule changed. And now you can have ladders on top of vans. So if you want to get the rule changed, you can do that, but you're going to be staring at a fine while that's
I'll
happening.
push it to where I gotta go. I mean, it's
And
my
Mr.
safety.
Mr. Evans, you may also have to move the shed up anyhow to get it out of the setback area.
I got it 6
to
inches.
get
It
the
was 6
proper-
inches in the setback. It
Oh,
was
well, I'm just
6
saying, if
inches.
you're
I'll take care of
concerned
it.
about
But,
the
but
the
what she's saying is,
trailer-
practically, if you can move the trailer 5 feet towards the house, you
can
can
move the
back your
shed.
trailer up to it,
I
you'll
have
have your
pictures here.
safety.
I have pictures of the trailer in the yard. I don't know if that makes a difference.
doesn't really make a
because it's not
difference.
really past beyond my house.
But is the issue that it has to butt, the back of the trailer has to butt up to the end of the house? Because we.
It can't go past the end of the house.
It can't go.
It has to fit it
It
on
has
the
to fit on
side
the
of the
side
home.
in the footprint of the house. So,
We have a huge yard, a big.
So my pool
lot.
extends my property, right?
no, that's your backyard.
So if I built the building on top of the pool to extend my property,
That's a very expensive solution.
I
to
mean,
move a
I mean,
shed. Okay, so what we're gonna do is 4:30,
Correct, 513 or $25 a day.
5:13 and 25. Move it a few feet forward and re-permit your shed, that's all.
I mean, it's just, my thing's my safety. And that's why I came to talk to you, because someone
I
could
understand, but
listen to that.
I can't change the rules, all I can do is
So we
apply
just let our stuff get stolen and just take a chance like that? I mean, I gotta protect myself. The police aren't protecting us. I gotta protect myself. I mean, how do I
Do whatever you
protect
want
my
to.
stuff
You
from
can,
being
you can
stolen?
sleep in between your trailer and your shed if you want.
Okay.
But I can't change the rules here.
All
That's a different night. Okay, sir? Sorry, but that's just not within my power.
It's fine. I'll go take the next step.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right,
We're good?
we're
Yes.
good.
Okay.
Next is 20-0056, 10257 Symphony Lane, Vincent J. and Mary Luz Sodano.
Code sections 2657, 622, and 108.4. Shed and setback relocated without a permit, canopy structure without permit, pavers without permit. I observed this violation on 11620, sent out notice of violation, notice of hearing on 11620, signed forward on 11820. I'd like to enter the following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
All right. Service via signed green card, you have service. Your name for the record?
Vincent Sedano.
Thank you, sir.
These are the exhibits the village would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the notice of hearing, the notice of violation, the signed green card. Exhibit 2 is verification of ownership, and Exhibit 3 is photographs of the violation. Do you have any objection to these documents?
What is this an image of here?
Is it top of it?
Yeah,
Peak-
the
peak
small
of the canopy.
structure there.
That's a bird cage.
It would need a permit because of the size of it.
What's the limitation? I mean, it's two little birds.
We'll get to the merits.
Okay.
Let's get the documents. Any objection to the
Yeah,
documents?
no, that's fine.
Okay, and then you can speak to the magistrate about the merits.
Okay. So we have a bird cage? Is that what we're gonna call it now?
I don't know what it is. All I can see is the top of it. I just called it a canopy structure.
Okay.
So it has a
We have-
canopy on the roof of it.
But, Magistrate, that when I went into the community development office, I spoke to you specifically.
Mhm.
And on the violation notice, you said the canopy structure is the 4-pallet structure. That was a totally different structure that's been removed 2 days after I received that notification.
On the
That
orig-
photo is something different, of totally different structure. On the notice of violation, it says it was a 4-pallet structure. That 4-pallet structure I
Canopy
have.
structure without permit, the vertical clearance, sidewalk, you took care of that.
Yeah, on my list of six violations you gave me, that would be actually number 4 on there. It says obtain permit for canopy structure 4-pallet wall, which was removed 2 days after receiving that violation.
And pallet wall.
There's not a plus sign there. That's a dash.
Oh, you're.
We're giving a description of the pallet wall. I came in and spoke to you personally because I had to decipher this notice of violation.
With the corrective action at the bottom. Remove all shutters, which there is still one of those on the back of your house as well.
That is not correct.
Relocate shed and obtain permit. Obtain permit for patio pavers. Obtain permit for canopy structure and pallet wall. You did remove the pallet wall, and when I spoke to you the other day, I said that there was still a canopy structure. You told me it was removed. I have a picture of it. It's not removed.
No, but Harry, I spoke to you personally, Margaret. I spoke to you personally, and I came in because if you see the notice of violation, the way it's, the scribble and garbled and very pressed together, I came in personally to speak to you.
Go over
and
it,
I went
yes.
over and I put parentheses around every single item to do these actions. And I took those actions and I took them serious. I paid $600 for a new survey. I removed my shed at the cost of $900 this past Monday to hire a crane and remove it because I'm not one to do anything that's in violation. I tried to correct it. I spoke to Lou Hosford on several occasions to make sure that I'm in compliance because these are type of things that I do. When you talk to me about the shutter, when you reference the shutter, you talk to the shutter that was in between the shed and the house, which was there. I removed it 2 days after. The canopy structure you spoke about, I did have a sunshade up there that I removed last August. That was in what you were referencing. I had a pallet wall that I put up for the holidays that I took Christmas photos with because we made Christmas cards. I removed that 4-pallet wall. That's what I had on here, and that's what we discussed, and that's when I came into your office. I removed the shutter that you were referencing on my bathroom window that is not accessible anyway, that was in between the shed and the wall on January 20th.
The other day.
The pavers, I'm still pending for the permit because I've applied for the permit for the
I know you
pavers
have.
and that is pending. So because it took 4 weeks to get the survey done. So that's why the day after I got the survey, I put in my notification, I applied for I had to make a financial decision if it was worth moving the shed or removing it from the property. I made that financial decision. I had it removed for the cost of $900 off of my property completely.
Okay.
So the pallet wall was removed, that we were talking about, that 4-pallet wall was removed on January 19th. The hedges were cut on January 20th, and the sidewalk was cleaned on January 20th.
Okay, so if I say 4/35/13, you'll have everything done by then, hopefully.
Well, we need to clarify. So the bird cage is made out of what?
It's like aluminum.
Okay, it's an aluminum roof?
Yes. It's just covered with that because I don't want the birds in direct sunlight. It has a canvas on top of the roof.
Okay. So.
It's literally like 4x2. I mean, it's a bird cage like this. You're only seeing the peak because that's how it's peaked there. I mean, I could, if you want me to supply you other pictures of the bird cage, I can from inside the yard.
Well.
It's an aluminum movable bird cage.
Yeah, so, if it's a solid aluminum roof?
No, it's like a lattice roof. That's why I have the canvas on there, but it's not solid, and from the elements to try to keep the birds protected.
Yeah, we're gonna need pictures of that.
Okay.
To see if they're gonna need, because something like this is a little bit bigger, but dog houses and that type of things, swing sets that have the, play structure on the side and the platform.
Okay.
They all require permits. They're accessory
fine.
structures, and they have to meet setbacks.
All right, so you're gonna need some permit. Well, you'll
Well, I
deal with
apply
it.
a permit in reference for the aluminum cage, or do you? So you see the now you're speaking about the size. Now, I apologize if it comes across as frustration, but in the last several years, I've kind of feel like I've been isolated and kind of almost in a situation where I almost feel harassed because 2 years ago I was told to clean my fence. And every 3 months I'm getting notified about the driveway. And when I go drive around the community and I see the condition of the fences and the driveways in the neighborhood, I want to just scream out and cry. But I'm a very understanding individual, and I try my best. And obviously, if you could see the efforts that I've put in here and the money that I've come out of pocket to try to come into compliance, to being standing here today is horrible because of the situations that took place in the previous years where I was told to pressure wash my fence because it was mildewy. I spent $300 to pressurize the fence, and a week later I receive a notation that it's in disrepair and I need to replace.
So,
to cause an expense on that creates hardships into the members of the community, and we need to make sure that we're doing that to take care of each other. Because obviously we live in the same community, but this is not what's happening.
okay,
Now
well,
we're seeing that, but you can see on the notice of violation that you showed me and you presented into evidence here, it shows here that the canopy structure, which I went into community development and spoke to Ms. Hancock, and I told her I need a description, because as it was all jumbled in, I needed separation, so I can make sure I had a note of all of it on record to make sure that I could come into compliance as quickly as possible with every single one of them. When I said there that it was a canopy structure, and you'll see there where it's noted, it says dash, it's not a plus sign, Margaret, it is a dash that says 4 pallet wall. I have photos in which I took Christmas pictures on there and Thanksgiving pictures, but it's been removed. It was removed 2 days after. And that's when that's why I wanted a clear definition of what was being implied as a canopy wall, a canopy structure, because I wanted to make sure it was. And that was removed.
all right, well, you need to give them pictures of your canopy structure / birdhouse / whatever it is.
Not a
They
problem.
can see whether or not it requires permitting. You are applying for a permit for the pavers because now there's a huge push to limit impervious surfaces, and that's why they are doing these things. You have to do calculations.
And that I understand. I did the pervious, impervious calculations. I did my vegetation index.
Right, all
I
that
spoke
stuff.
I spoke to Kevin Irwin that I went back in there to make sure that everything was in compliance. I was informed that it was rejected, my paver permit at first, because I was missing a tree of a certain parameters of 14 feet with a 5-foot canopy and a 2-inch breast height. I had installed for the cost of $400.
Okay, well, you have until, this is 4:30 again?
4:30 or 5:13 or $25 day fine, yes, sir.
You should get your permit out before 4:30 because you've already applied for it. It's been sitting there. And then send them some pictures of the bird cage.
But I would just like clarification on the record. At what point, where do I stand? Now, what else is needed to come into full compliance here?
You need a permit for the pavers.
Right, and that's
And you
in
need
process.
to, invite her over to look at the shed or the lack of shed in the bird cage so she can determine
I
whether
know
or
the
not.
shed is gone.
No, the shed.
The shed
shed's
is gone. I
but-
seen that today.
But you need you need at least pictures,
He'll
if
need to
not,
bring in pictures and stuff of the bird cage.
of the bird
so
cage to see whether or not.
Walker can
I mean, I
determine-
built an 8 by 10 foot playhouse. It was 2 stories. It was like
Yeah, but
tree
this-
tap
this is
dimensional
nothing-
shingles.
this is nothing like-
I
this
had
is
to-
nothing
I
in
had to go get
comparison.
that permitted because their definition of structures includes a lot of things. You know,
No,
a lot of people
and I understand that,
don't do
and-
playhouses.
but I'm
They
talking-
do
this is-
because they blow over in the wind. So.
But sir, like what I'm saying is that's why I went in specifically to talk about which structures they were, so I knew exactly what we were
Good.
doing
Well,
to be in
You're
compliance.
gonna get an order out of me that says you have to comply by 4:30. The easy one's the pavers, because all you have to do is give them the permit, and you're done with that, and show them your bird cage. It might have to be moved, it might have to be permitted, I don't know.
Okay.
But at this time, I don't know. So 4:30, 5:13, 25, granted. We'll move on to the next. All right, next, please.
20-0073, 145 Heron Parkway, Jonathan Fix.
Code section is 14.2 and 14.4, miscellaneous items and disabled vehicle. I observed this violation on 12220, sent out notice of violation, notice of hearing on 12220, and posted it to the property. I'd like to enter those following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
All right, you have an affidavit of service, you can proceed.
My name is Jonathan Fix.
Thank you, sir. These are the exhibits that would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the affidavit
Gotta be
of
quiet.
service for the notice of hearing and the notice of violation. Notice of hearing. Notice of violation. Exhibit 2 is verification of ownership. See that one?
I would like to. More stuff has been added to this.
Exhibit 2, verification of ownership, and Exhibit 3, photographs of
Yep.
the violations.
More stuff has been added.
Any objection to the documents?
Yes.
Okay, your objection is?
She's changing things. She's writing new things up. These were not the original.
The documents, which document are you objecting to? The notice of violation?
Yeah, partly. Stuff has been added to that and the pictures have been changed. So.
Okay, admitted over objection, the pictures are of today, so I would assume they've changed and they still show things out there that need to be done.
Right, but it's a whole new set of things. I mean.
Well, you're
I've-
gonna get a whole new set of time to fix them. I mean, you know, there's a step ladder and other things just hanging out there on the side of the house.
Okay, well,
I
we're
mean,
giving
does
me
that
more
need to
time.
be hanging out on the side of the house? That's an easy thing. What's the harder thing? The van, the Ram van? Is that a Dodge?
She wrote me up originally for a motorcycle. I got rid of the motorcycle. The van, she's writing me up for needing to move. I moved it over.
It also needs to display a current tag, and the tag is not visible. So if you're going to keep it so parked so tight against the garage so your tag cannot be seen, you would need to put it on the dash.
So I need to park it in the opposite way so when you drive by, you can see it?
You could do that as well. The
Actually,
trailer
they-
needs a tag on it as well.
They actually have covers with holes cut out or areas so they can show tags. These people want to see your tag.
Can you say that again? I didn't understand.
Sometimes they have car covers, you know, and they cover the entire car, or others have car covers where you can actually see where the license plate hole is,
Okay.
just so that you can prove that your car is tagged. I have extra cars. I have 2 extra cars, actually. And I drove one of them today, but they're both tagged, insured. They have antique tags on them. They run. They're all good.
Right.
So
Yeah,
but I move them around too. So they see me driving around the village.
It's got a tag on it. I mean,
So yeah, if you turn it around, that's not a problem.
okay.
That's showing your tag. You're showing it's viable. She just sees it backed up against the wall and she can't tell. That's all. So that's the car problem.
And
And
yes, it was the motorcycle also, and I don't know if it's still there. Last time I walked up to your door to post these papers on your door, it was still there.
Right, I removed it.
And that was on the 21st of February?
Right, and there was also stuff around the front porch, and you told
Right.
me to remove that too.
That
and,
as
and if
well.
you moved your motorcycle in your garage, no one would care. You can put unlicensed, uninsured, anything in your garage.
Right, well, it's been
So-
removed, so.
So it's all fine.
Saying the original set of things
So-
she's addressed.
Well,
I
let me
took care of a
let me
lot of
just nail down on the miscellaneous items. The miscellaneous items are the stuff on the side of the house.
Side of the house, in front of the house, and back of the house.
Okay. So, you know, the disabled vehicle's easy. You just turn it around and she'll go by and look at it.
All
When are you
the
gonna turn
stuff,
around?
the-
Tomorrow, the next day?
Can I have a month?
Well, you're gonna have till 4:30. I'm just trying to get you
No, we're
cleared.
asking for compliance by 3/26.
Okay, 3:26.
They're easy fixes, or the 4/8 fine assessment hearing, or $50 a day fine.
3:26. So they're asking for 2 weeks, basically.
I want a month, please.
You can turn her van around in less than a month.
And this other stuff that she's asking me to move is going to take more than 2 weeks to move it.
Why?
Well, she's,
You've
this
got
side,
step ladders and you've got like a hose reel just sort of laying around there, catty corner, like, you know, on the side of the house. Why?
because there's stuff back there, because it's the back of my yard.
Okay.
I need to put up a fence. I need to go get a permit to put up a fence. That's
It's
gonna
gonna
take
take
time.
you 4 weeks to get a fence permit.
I'm sorry?
It's gonna take you two to 4 weeks to get a fence permit.
Right, so I'm asking for that time to go get a fence permit.
I think these are easy fixes that you can do by March 26th. So you're going to have them done by then. When's the hearing date for what?
4/8.
Or appear at the 4/8 hearing? Well, just clean it up a bit. Call her over, have her inspect it and have her off you. That's all. That's all. You want to make it last out for a month? Why?
It takes time to get the fence permit.
You don't need a fence permit to clean your yard.
If you look into the backyard, I have stuff in the backyard. The one picture she took is of the backyard.
And you can't put any of that stuff in the garage or other places.
I just moved in there. I'm trying to organize my house. I moved in probably, a month ago? So it takes time to put stuff here, put stuff there, put stuff on shelves. It takes time.
Well, you're going to take more time to do it, and you're going to get it done by the 26th. 3/26, 4/8, $25. Granted.
was $50 for the
or
fine.
$50. Okay,
Thank you.
Are we done?
we're done.
20-0121, 139 Teal Court, Barbara J. Poco.
Code sections 9-1, new fence without a permit. I observed this violation on 12520, so now notice of violation, notice of hearing on 12720, received it on 2420. Like to enter the following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
All right, sign green card equals service. Could you state your name for the record, ma'am?
Barbara Poco.
Thank you.
Your name, sir, if you're going to speak.
Brent Carrigan,
Can you spell your last name?
Carrigan.
First name was Brent.
Brent, Brent.
These are the exhibits that the village would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the notice of hearing. Exhibit 2 is the notice of violation. Exhibit 3 is the sign, part of Exhibit 1 is also the sign green card.
I only received one.
Right, both,
Yeah.
yep, both together, yep. Exhibit 2 is verification of ownership. Excuse me, I dropped the pages. Just showing that you own the property.
Mhm.
And Exhibit 3 is a photograph of the violation. Any objection to the documents?
Yes.
Okay.
It was not a new fence. It's an
There's another
existing.
side to the fence.
And that's the wrong side of the fence. That's not my property on this side. I repaired an existing fence. I did not put in a new fence.
Here's the picture of the other side with the existing.
See, this is,
all
there's the
structure to
existing
it.
stuff that we fixed.
We replaced the pickets. but
Okay,
the-
we'll get there. So they're objecting to the photograph. They're saying it doesn't represent the fence.
Admitted over objection. We'll get some explanation and we'll figure it all out. Okay. So you're saying they put up a fence?
There was a fence there. They replaced it with all new wood. It's a new fence.
So are you allowed to replace more than 10% of your
Not without a permit.
fence without a permit?
Where is that stated? Because I looked in the code thing, and it says anything that, any rotten, let me get it real quick. I want to quote it right. It says, maintenance of all components of wood fence shall be maintained by replacing any rotten wood, ensuring the fence does not sag or tilt from upright position. Now, what happened is, to go back, the neighbor next door had big ficus trees in there. He was told to take them out. They took them out to a point. Storm came through, blew some of them over, and broke a couple of the fence horizontals, the structure to it, the horizontals, and it busted one upright post out. That's the only part of the fence, that we had to replace, other than the pickets. And I got pictures of all the pickets and stuff. Pickets were damaged. Most of them were rotten across the bottom, which is what we replaced because it called for it to be replaced as rotten. The structure of the fence, I only had to, much less than 10% of that I had to replace just to hold the pickets. The pickets are new. I won't deny that, but they were rotten across the bottoms and everything else. But the structure of the fence is still the existing structure of the fence. All the posts are in the same place. Those were not removed. Only one was that I had to replace because it was broke off from the big trees from next door. But I've got pictures of all the existing structure to the fence, which what she has is from the other side of the fence. From our side of the fence, which is what that is, I've got pictures of that. So the structure of the fence is still the same fence.
Yeah,
We just had to replace the
unfortunately,
cosmetic part
I
of
think
it.
we're having a question or a problem with the term structure. And you're talking
The
about,
part that holds the fence up.
no, you're talking about part of the fencing,
Well,
which
and
is
again, but
which
what
is
I
the
said-
posts and
Like
the
I said,
horizontal
again,
beams.
Where's
correct?
the 10% is what, I couldn't
All
figure
right.
out. I looked for monetarily, I looked for percentage, I didn't see any of that. All I saw was what is under the wood fence part of the code, and it doesn't say anything about any type of percentages or anything.
That's the
But
question.
whenever you remove a fence, like you removed all that wood, and now you've replaced it with new, that would require a permit. That's like if you take off your front door to,
So if I had to
permit
replace a
for that.
section of chain link fence, I would have to pull a new permit even though I left all the posts in, if I had to.
If it was more than 10% of any one side, yes, sir. That's
That's what I'm
determined
trying to
by
say.
the
Where's the
building
10
official.
Where's it stated of 10%?
That's determined by the building officials
Of where?
of
Royal Palm
Royal
Beach.
Palm.
Correct, the village
Is
building
there,
official.
is there some documents that say that I can look up? Because I pulled up all the codes and I don't see
I don't believe
anywhere.
there's a document of it, but if you would have came in to see if you actually needed a permit, like I asked you to do, to come in and obtain a permit, they would have told you that, yes, sir, you do need a permit because of the amount of the new fence.
Yeah,
So it doesn't have to be
It's a new
stated anywhere
fence.
10%? I mean, 'cause
well,
pulled-
I don't, normally that's
not
not,
an issue
this is an easy call, because, this is an easy call for me because I built a fence.
the fence was there.
The
There was-
fence has
I
been
built,
there.
no, I built a fence in La Mancha at my house. And I barred an auger and I put holes in, and mine are every 6 feet. Because the fence standard when I put my fence in was every 8 feet. Nowadays, if I replaced it, that fence would be non-conforming because it's every 4 feet. You have to have an upright 4x4 or whatever. They changed that. If I replace all of my shadow box wood, I basically put up another fence.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't replace the shadow box part. I left the
No,
structure.
the shadow box part is the pickets on both sides.
And the structure
because-
through the middle.
And the structure through
shadow
the middle,
boxes.
you can't, I cannot buy your argument that the posts and the horizontal structures are a fence and pickets are not. They're all part and parcel of the same, and all you have to do is get an owner-builder permit to replace your fence.
So now what you're saying is I'm gonna have to pull down everything that we put up
No,
to go.
all I'm gonna say is you have to get it permitted.
Okay, but if it's not the same compliance as what was already there under the old permit, then it's all gonna have to be replaced, correct?
I don't know. I don't know until someone inspects it. If you're gonna take a fence and replace, practically speaking, if you put a pile out there by the road for public services to pick up, 80% is gonna be your pickets, and 20% is gonna be your horizontal beams and your 4x4 posts. And you're replacing 80% of your fence. That's pretty much a new fence. So get it permitted. And if it's permitted and it meets the code, you're fine. You don't have to replace anything. And you may have to put in more posts depending on how far apart they are. I don't know. But you're gonna have to get it permitted.
But those posts have been there for a long time where they are.
That's wonderful, but you've
I mean, it's
replaced,
like, I just don't
you've
understand.
replaced 80% of the volume of your fence.
Of the pickets.
By doing the pickets. And I am not gonna be the guy who says pickets are separate from the structure, they're not a fence. Pickets are what make the fence, otherwise you just have a frame.
I guess my biggest part is I'm trying to understand how the 10% thing.
The 10%
doesn't
is,
have to be posted
I've been doing
somewhere.
this for 10 years.
Well,
and-
county is a monetary thing. It's anything over $1,000. That's Palm Beach County's
Well,
code
that's
for that.
Palm Beach County's
I
code.
understand that. but at
I've
least they
been
have
here for
something.
10 years, and the practice for the 10 years I've been magistrate is 10%. No permit required for 10%, and you could replace 10% a year until you've replaced the whole thing. You just have to play it properly.
If I would have known that, I would have done it 10% of the time, but there was nothing in writing that I
Right, so
could go by.
Yeah.
you are an owner builder because it's your homestead
And this-
No,
property?
we can't be an owner builder because
And-
me and-
Is
me
it
and
her
daughter live in the
homestead
house.
property?
Me and her daughter live in the house,
Oh,
but she
okay.
lives in a condo and they won't let us pull owner builder
I
permit,
can't
even
pull
though
the
it's her
permit.
home.
Okay, that's the problem. But, all right, so 4:30?
Yes, or $5, $13, or $25 a day fine.
So what am I supposed to do?
You have to hire a contractor and everything now.
Well, I'll have to,
You'll figure it out. They'll get a contractor, or they'll just deal with it somehow.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, please.
Page 8, fine mitigation hearings, 18-1508, 10863 Del Monte Way, Arthur H. Jacobs.
Got a lot more people here than 4 fine mitigation hearings.
Yeah, well, they came in late, so.
We know who they are.
She's Terry Cooper, and
Why don't we take 1 minute to figure out who our strays are? Who's here for fine mitigation hearings? You, and you,
and
and anyone else, and 3. So you're 3. That means everyone else needs to be talked to for 1 minute and figure out who they are.
let me find.
Just take one. We're just going to try to make sure they get, you're going to be heard next. We're just trying to get
You
them.
can go to the podium, you're
You can
good.
go to the podium.
I'll get closer.
Yeah, you go.
us who they are, if you want to proceed.
Sure. Mr. Jacobs? Your show.
Can you approach the podium, sir? Approach the podium over there so you can speak into the microphone, please.
All right.
We would like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, fine mitigation request. Exhibit 2, order assessing fine. Exhibit 3, verification of ownership. Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance. Oh.
I don't want to touch them anyway, right? Is that the new normal?
Yeah.
All right, which, are we going to do these separately or together, or how we want to do it?
We can read them both in if you'd prefer.
Read them both in, please.
Okay.
Next case is 19-0174-10863 Dominey Way, Arthur H. Jacobs.
Exhibit 1, fine mitigation request. Exhibit 2, order assessing fine. Exhibit 3, verification of ownership. Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
All right, what's the amount of the fine on case 18-1508?
$9,600.
Okay.
And in the second case, 19-0174, it's $6,050. Can you state your name for the record, sir?
Arthur Jacobs.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Jacobs, you're the person requesting the mitigation. Why should the fine be reduced?
I was trying to be a good parent to my son. He had recently gone through a divorce, and he was kind of, he had a limited amount of funds, and he didn't have a place to stay, so I let him stay at the house with the understanding that he was going to maintain the house, you know, as far as yard work, pool work, and so on and so forth. And in the meantime, I was, if I didn't have bad luck, I would have had no luck as far as medical issues. I mean, I can go into a long list of what my medical problems were, but right now that's not the point. But because of my medical issues, I had to go and live at my girlfriend's house because she could be more attentive as opposed to my son, who was a Palm Beach County EMT. And in that time frame, while I was away from the home, he was just letting the home just totally deteriorate. And I was aware of the code violations, and he said, "Dad, don't worry. I have taken care of everything." I said, "You took care of this." Yes. I was back in my house last November, and I noticed a lot of mail from the village of Royal Palm Beach, and I looked it up and got all of these violations, and then I called up code enforcement. I said, "I have a stack of stuff here. What's going on?" Because I wasn't aware that everything was not brought into compliance. And they said, "Well, you have fines and fines." I said, "Well, if I wasn't sitting down, I would have probably have had a heart attack when they told me the amount of fines that had accumulated on the house." And I was very angry with my son. I really supported him for about 4 years, and he didn't do his part. And because of my medical problems, I wasn't able to do the yard work. He was supposed to maintain the yard. He was supposed to be doing all of the repairs on the house. In fact, he even got a building permit to fix those issues on the side of the house. And when I went in to the code enforcement and spoke to Lou about it, she showed me a copy of the building permit that had expired with my signature on it. I said, I never filed that. That's not my signature. So whoever filed the permit, which I'm assuming was my son, forged my signature. But once what we had established, what had to be done in order to rectify the problem, I filled out a new building permit, which I currently have, and I'm in the middle of getting bids and quotes to repair the damage on the side of the house.
Okay. So what do you think the fines should be reduced to?
Of course, I'm going to say nothing, but I know that's not going to happen.
Because truly, the village is not the bad character in this play. It's your son.
I'm not denying that fact.
All right. What is the village's position with regards to these?
The village is amenable to reduction. In the first case, we would be willing to reduce it to $2,359.24. And in 19-0174, we'd be willing to reduce it to $1,622.38, payable by 5/11/2020.
So they're saying that your 15,650 should really be 4,000, approximately.
Well, I still have my out-of-pocket expense that it's going to cost me in order to do those repairs on the side of the house. I mean, I'm not saying that I was not aware. I mean, I knew that there was non-compliance, but the whole issue was that my son was pretty much lying right to my face and saying, "Dad, everything is taken care of."
The question then becomes, why is this the fault of the village, or why should the village give you more relief than they're already offering?
Say that again, sir?
Why should the village give you more relief than they are already offering when it was your son's fault?
I'm not denying that fact. I mean, if my son would have been up front with me, then I could have taken care of things.
Right, because if you had a stucco permit, you just had to get an inspection or get the permit undone, whatever the proper term is, removed, revoked, released, whatever it would be.
Well, I have a new building permit, which is currently active. I'm getting some quotes from independent contractors to repair the issue, and that's going to be money that's coming out of my pocket. I mean, I'm retired right now on a fixed income, and because of my son's irresponsibility, to pay a lien of that amount would pretty much be devastating.
Anything further from the village?
No.
Nope. All right, I'm going to reduce the $9,600 loan to $1,500 by 5/11. The stucco permit one, I'm going to reduce another to $500. So you can get $2,000, you can fix the situation, otherwise it's going to go back to the same amount.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Hardest part of my job. This part right here.
What was the date given today?
So
5/11.
You'll get an order in the
You'll get an order in the mail, actually get two.
Two, yes.
Okay, next, please.
19-1712-12031 Southern Boulevard, Red Apple at Palms West LLC.
Like to enter the
Can I
following
get that mailed to a different address?
Call me tomorrow and give me the address.
Okay.
But it's gonna go to the house, plus I
Well,
can email or mail it to you.
She'll mail you one, but
Yeah.
she's also required by law to mail it to the address at your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Would like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, fine mitigation request. Exhibit 2, order assessing fine. Exhibit 3, verification of ownership. Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
Okay, what's the amount of the fine on this one?
$2,350.
Okay. Tell us who you are and why the fine should be reduced.
Greg Tallman.
Paul Hage.
Tallman.
There was an issue with the inspections on the number that we called. Remember Dina was calling the number on the 5th, and it's set up for inspection. But when I went in to see Lou in the office on the, I think it was the 5th that we went in there, and I set up the inspection for the 7th. And for some reason, y'all had stopped using your call-in inspection service.
Yeah, you would have to, Lou, I don't know what he's, the call-in inspections.
Remember when they were putting the new red stickers on the inspection notices?
George.
Yeah. Because when we had our meeting on the property, you told me to call this number and set up the inspection. And I set up the inspection for the 7th. And I came back into the office the following Monday, and they told me that this was no longer in use on here, so I don't know if that was, but we didn't end up getting inspected until the 18th because of this. So it was about 13 days we would like you to take off of the fine if possible.
All right, so was there a problem with the phone number? You switched it?
There should have been a sticker on there, yeah.
Yeah.
But the issue is that this is a repeat violation.
Okay,
But we're
but
not
still,
denying the original fine.
It's actually a repeat of a repeat of a repeat.
it could
It's
be a repeat,
multiple
it could be
repeats.
multiple repeats, but, you know, you don't tag them for trying to call for an inspection and not getting it in time because of the inspection not being there.
But the fines on a repeat starts when it's first observed,
I understand.
not when an inspection is called in. So the fine would have started regardless of when they called in for an inspection.
But we didn't receive the inspection, that was the whole thing.
But they would have gotten,
Just didn't get a
they would have gotten a stop of the fines on the 7th instead of the 18th if the phone number was working. That's my problem. It's not the, you know, they shouldn't have been,
We didn't have the chance.
Yeah, so 13 days off of that is what they're asking for?
yeah, and that sounds fair. I mean, I'll make it 12 just to
Yeah,
give it a day.
We're just want it fair.
I know, that's what I was just gonna ask. What was the date?
The date, I got everything right here. The date that I actually did the phone call for the inspection was the 5th. And
Of
it
what
set-
month?
Then the computer set it up for the 7th.
Okay,
for
what
2/7.
month?
What month?
February, February 7th.
Okay.
We received the permit on 1/30. We completed the work on the 5th, and that was the day we had the meeting on the property. Then I called it in on 2/5, and it set it up for 2/7, and I came back into the office on 2/10.
But you weren't in compliance on 2/5 when Linda and I met you.
That's what you told me to call this number to have it inspected.
Right, we told you
Oh,
that you
okay.
had to call and get George to inspect it.
And then,
And George didn't go out.
Said you told me to call the number on the permit
We need the,
and have it inspected.
what was the daily
See,
fine?
the thing was, when we came back into the office, all the girls were putting the new orange
Yeah,
stickers.
what's the amount of the fine? We'll just do it backwards mathematically.
$2,350.
But how much a day was it?
That's what we're looking up.
oh, so that's the date.
$25 a day.
So $25 a day, so 2,350 divided by 25 gives you the amount of days, and just take 13 off of there.
What's the date that he
Do a
inspected?
calculator?
Right.
I'm just gonna give them,
The 2/27, that's the date that George inspected it though, right?
yeah, but
2/27.
it should have been 2/7, so
But he
that's what
came
they're.
out 2/27.
So what you need to do
Right,
is,
He didn't have the number to call George, is what he's saying. It wasn't
Yeah,
on the
it
permit.
wasn't on the permit.
he had a non-stickered
Called in on
permit,
our automated system,
and
and
it,
it just sat there. Nobody did anything about it.
so what I'm saying is you take $2,350 and divide it by 25, and how many days is that? $94 days.
90,
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just taking math, okay? And you take, well, actually, just take 13 and multiply it times 25. That's all,
That's 325.
325. So take 325 off the 2,350, and then we're where we should be,
2,025.
2025. And that's all easy, right?
I don't know what
You just want to get credit for doing it
I'm confused.
Correct.
at that time.
It just delayed the process.
Yeah.
We're
All right.
not saying that, you know, we're good on anything
So-
except that.
Either.
Would have
We need
been-
to make sure the compliance date is correct. That, we're not making, that math is not, I don't think.
All I'm doing is you have a,
Go over and look in the computer.
for what?
What date are we giving him as a compliance
Got the
date?
emails
We
from
have
George,
one
if you wanna
compliance
see
date.
'em.
What are we settling on? We went out and inspected on 2/5. On 2/5, there were still some plants that were, like,
Right.
you could just pick them up in the ground. We told you that all needed to be fixed
Right,
and that
it
you
wasn't
needed to
in
pass with George. So they were not in compliance on 2/5.
No, he's not saying they were on
Okay.
compliance. He should, they could have been on compliance on 2/7 if someone would have come by to look. Instead, they were on compliance on 2/20 or whatever,
18 when
2/18.
it came.
So you've got a
Well,
$2,350 fine, and you're taking off $325.
227.
That's
So
what
it's
we're saying, the
two-
dates don't match up,
Yeah.
though. Their compliance date is 2/27. He's saying it's 2/7. That's many more days.
That's 20 days.
No.
That's not 13 days, is the problem, that we can't make the, we want to make sure the record is accurate with regard to when they complied.
They're saying they would have complied by 2/7, correct? It was
Well,
complied.
if we would have been inspected, we don't know if we would have failed or, you
Yeah.
know, can't tell.
But you were complied when you
Yeah,
got
I
out
set
there
it
on
up
the
for
18th.
inspection, I didn't get
We
it.
were out there 2 days prior to that.
Yeah.
No, this was, the order was wrong. It's a $125 a day fine.
That was the wrong case.
Just trying to take off 325 out of 2,300, that's all. It's still gonna be 2,050, 2,025, right?
125 a day.
I don't know if what you had here.
That's the right number.
Oh, you have this written down already.
Huh?
You have this written down already, I think.
I took it off of here.
Oh. 19, 17, 12. Yes, that's 5,625.
I don't know why I have that in there.
So what did that go
I
for?
got it, because I took it off the other cost recovery sheets too, so.
The fine is actually more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have,
So-
the fine amount is actually, your prior order was $5,625. It was out of compliance from November 25th, 2019 to January 8th, 2020.
All right, so you gave me the wrong fine amount.
Correct.
So the correct fine amount is what?
Well, we need to figure that out, because this, if we're assuming that they complied on 2/7, it would have run from November 25th to February 7th. So we need to figure out how many days that is.
Well, how much, just the question is, how much of it, how much per day is the fine?
$125 per day.
So if they want $125 per day off for 13 days, just do the math and,
This order was
But
not
we
in
still-
compliance as
yeah.
of this order date, so the fine amount was way more than this amount
We
on this
still,
order.
that's what was
Okay.
assessed on that order, but we have to figure out from that
So
date
hold on, we'll
forward.
count them.
okay. So
From then to the
your
7th.
fine amount's going to be like twice as much, but we're still going to take off the right amount.
Okay.
They just called the wrong amount when they said 2,350. It's really 5,000, whatever. Math, I
29 more
love
days,
math.
so can you do 29 plus 45
125, right?
29 plus 45.
times 125?
9,250.
That's the fine amount, $9,250. That gives them a compliance date of 2/7, so the fine goes through 2/6.
Was how many days? Times what?
74
74.
days times 125.
Yep, 9250. All right, so am I subtracting the 13 days from that?
Nope, that's already been subtracted.
Okay.
That was the 2/7.
All right, so what was the total amount then with the 13 days? Because if you want the order to be right, it's got to be reduced from X to Y, and Y is now 9,250. What was it before? Add 13 times 125
So
to it?
325 more, or no, so 125 times 13. I don't have a calculator yet. $10,975.
10,975. All right. So the fine is reduced from 10,975 down to $9,250.
Correct.
Okay? math is hard. By February,
5/11.
by 5/11. Okay. There, they get the credit, you get the math right this time, everyone's happy, not. 5/11. All right, I'll sign that order.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Saves $1,700.
By 5/11.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
19-1474, 221 Bobeo Street, Alan Stromfeld and Laura Vatanza here.
Okay. This is why I'm not a doctor. I would much rather read books than math problems. Your name, ma'am?
Pardon me?
Your name?
My name is Laura Vitanza.
Okay.
We're done with all the people who are here, who are here on time.
I'm going to do it after we do this.
All the rest of them are late.
Oh, you weren't here?
They all were late.
All right, everyone raise your right hand, say I do when we're done. Just humor me. Does everyone swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Everyone say I do? They all do. All right, they've been sworn. All right, Ms. Vitanza, what's her case? What's her case worth?
The fine amount is $3,075.
I'd like to enter into evidence, Exhibit 1, fine mitigation request, Exhibit 2, order assessing fine, Exhibit 3, verification of ownership, and Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
Okay. Why should the fine be reduced?
I would love to show these documents.
Can you state your name for the record first?
She already did.
Did she? Okay.
Thank you.
Why don't you show them to the attorney, then she'll show them to me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any objection? $420. Okay. All right, these are admitted as defendants, composite one. All right, so you had to evict a tenant that was creating all these problems?
Yeah, unfortunately, that was my mistake, accepting them, tried to help them, but they abused me. You know, they destroyed my property, violations, and Gail was very kind to try to, to help me to resolve it. I resolved it, I talked to them. They lied to me all the time. Unfortunately, they didn't pay like $7,000 in rent. And finally, we evicted them. And I wasn't putting too much attention because my husband had a surgery in November and he didn't recover. And now again, he's in the hospital. And I don't have access to money because I don't have a POA. And he cannot sign anything right now. Then I apologize for the mistakes, but I need you to help me because right now my situation is, to keep my husband alive than anything else.
Okay. And what does the village say?
We'd be amenable to a reduction. Did she have a number in mind?
Do you have a number in mind? What?
The initial fines that the gentleman committed was $650. And after that, I didn't know that we have accumulation of $50 a day. Possible my husband received the documents at home, but I wasn't aware.
All right, 650 by when? 5/11?
Yes.
Okay. I'll reduce it to $650 payable by 5/11.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, who are our strays in here now?
Going back to page 1, fine assessment hearing, case 19-1554, 869 Orchid Drive, Terry L. Cooper and Wayne Johnson. But there's 3 people sitting here.
All right, so we need a case. So they like lock the doors over there now? You can't walk through? Oh, you abused your privilege.
We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, order finding violation. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures. Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
Okay. How do you have service? Pick one. Actual?
Actual.
Great. Okay, you have service, you can proceed. You're abusing one of my favorite actors. Wayne "The Rock" Johnson, or is it?
Terry Cooper.
These are the exhibits that the village would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the order finding violation. Exhibit 2 is verification of ownership. Exhibit 3 is photograph of the violation. And Exhibit 4 is affidavit of compliance. Any objection to these documents?
Wait, go back. It's been clean. I was supposed to be
Yep, that's what
repaired.
it says.
Oh, okay.
It's complied.
Yeah, they say you fixed it. It's just a
Okay.
question of when you fixed it.
I gotta do it.
All right, so I think it's not a finding of fact, it's a fine.
No, there was a fine. It didn't comply on time.
That's what I'm asking, so.
Yeah, so it complied actually on 3/2. So we're fine asking for no fine.
No fine is fine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper.
All right, next is,
But my father is deceased. He's been dead since 2012. So how do we remove his name if we don't?
You need to go over to the property appraisers
Property appraiser?
across the street.
Across the street, at Civic Center?
it's that way.
Uh-oh.
She's pointing you to Publix. Go across the street to the cultural center. Get the right place here.
We have more people in the room than are on the agenda, if we could ask.
That's-
These 2 gentlemen, they were observing.
Okay, cool.
Okay, next is on page 2.
All right. Why not? You could have fun too. No.
19-1649, 19-1649, 1176 Chorus Way, Edward C. and Sharon A. Durant.
Okay. Number 21.
We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, order finding violation. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. And Exhibit 3, pictures. Oh.
We got scaffolding up. Green card equals service. You can proceed. Your name, sir?
Edward Durant.
Thank you, sir.
So these are the exhibits the village would like to enter into evidence. Exhibit 1 is the previous order finding violation with a signed green card. Exhibit 2 is verification of ownership. And Exhibit 3 is a photograph of the violation. Any objection to these documents?
No.
Thank you, sir.
All right, admitted without objection. So you still haven't gotten it fixed, I take it?
It's being fixed.
I know, I can tell because of the scaffolding there, you're working on it.
They were-
Unfortunately, where we are right now, we're at the position where I have to do a fine of some kind, I guess.
Yeah, it's been out of compliance for 13 days, so we're asking for a fine of
325.
$325 and continuing.
All right, you need to get this done as soon as you can to stop the fine. Okay, the second while it's drying, call her to come out and inspect it to stop it. And then you can come back for a fine reduction hearing when you're done with that. Okay, and we're right in the middle of the dry season and we're gonna come up on the wet and you wanna get that done ASAP. But literally, while the paint is drying, give her a call. Okay? I'll sign your order for 325 plus continuing and hopefully it'll be cured soon and we won't have much more.
Thank you.
Okay?
Going back to page 1, starting back with fine assessments, 19-157, excuse me,
Now, did you guys lose a bet or something? Yeah. Oh. Okay. Good. I appreciate entrepreneurship. You should really be a pressure cleaning company looking for leads. You could almost go solicit people through this list. I'm serious.
Records request from the village clerk.
Where do you go to for you guys? Is it Palm Beach County or is it?
No, it's Royal Palm Beach.
Okay.
But we're in the middle of a meeting, so, no, we have a lot more to go.
Oh, you guys.
I gotta do all the people who didn't show up. Okay, so yeah, they're the ones you should talk to, some of them at least.
Yeah, I'll hear you out, whatever you got. You just run through them. We just got it on the courts,
Okay, we're on 1-1.
19-1568, 361 La Mancha Avenue, Michael Sheets and Francis Eberhardt.
Right to enter into evidence, the previous order finding violation, Exhibit 2 verification of ownership, and Exhibit 3 picture. I could give it.
All right, services by posting, pictures. Oh, okay, the shutters. I had one of those trucks. I missed my truck. All right.
This has been out of compliance for 13 days, so we're asking for a fine of
$325 plus continuing is granted.
20-0169, 180 Bilbao Street, Cerberus SFR Holdings LP.
Right to enter into evidence, the previous order finding violation, Exhibit 2 verification of ownership, and Exhibit 3 picture.
Signed green card equals service, close to being done. They had more last time.
This was out of compliance for 6 days at $50 a day, so $350 and not continuing.
350, no continuing.
19-1448, 225 River Bluff Lane, Anthony L. and Deshaun M. Woods.
I'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, order finding violation and new fine assessment, and affidavit of service. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
All right, signed green card equals service. What am I looking for, a garbage can?
Yes.
They're usually easy to spot. Oh, hiding behind a big truck. And a white car. All right, what would you like? You have
This was
service?
out of compliance for 76 days, so we're asking for a fine of $1,900 and continuing.
1,900 plus continuing is granted.
Thank you.
Next, page 2.
19-1816, 106 Hemingway Court, McCormick Residential Trust and Benoit Malouf trustee.
They were on our last month's agenda.
We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, order finding violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, permitting village abatement. Exhibit 3, verification of ownership. Exhibit 4, work order.
All right, signed green card equals service. How much did you pay to cut their lawn?
We're asking, it was $80 for the abatement and
$286.
Yeah, so a total of $286.
286 is granted.
Thank you.
19-1700, 10638 Misty Lane, Misty Lane, Angeli A. Frazier.
This is the woman who just coughed into her file?
Yep, that's me. Don't worry, I'm not contagious. Like to enter the following documents and evidence. Exhibit 1, previous order finding violation. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures. Exhibit 4, affidavit compliance.
All right, you have services. Is a finding of fact or a fine?
It's fine.
It's a
How much?
fine. It's $300 and not continuing.
300, no continuing is granted.
Repeat violation hearings on page 3, 20-0214, 306 La Mancha Avenue, Progress Residential Borrower 5 LLC.
So it's also harder for them to hear us with the door closed?
Microphone's back there, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
Couldn't hear you. This is a repeat violation for parking on the vacant lot. The code section is 2316. I observed this violation on 2/13/20, mailed the notice of violation, notice of hearing certified, and got the green card back. I'd like to enter into evidence, Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing, Exhibit 2, previous order finding violation, Exhibit 3, verification of ownership, and Exhibit 4, pictures.
Oh, jet skis. How nice. People have toys. All right, Wes Miller's signature stamp is one of my favorites. You have service. What would you like?
This was out of compliance for 6 days at $50, so $300.
300, no continuing?
Correct.
Granted.
76 Sparrow Terrace, 20-0048, 76 Sparrow Terrace, Dana S. Davies.
This is a repeat violation for high grass and weeds, code section 1557. I'd like to enter I observed this violation on 1/15/20, sent out notice of violation, notice of hearing on 1/15/20, posted it to the property. I'd like to enter those following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of repeat violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, previous order finding violation. Exhibit 3, verification of ownership. Exhibit 4, pictures.
All right, you have service via posting. What would you like in this one?
This was out of compliance for 57 days at $50 per day, so we're asking for a fine of $2,850 and continuing.
For that, they could have bought a riding lawnmower. Granted.
Thank you.
Now we're at violation hearings, 20-0047,
That was no
105.
continuing or continuing?
Continuing.
Plus continuing, okay.
105
Granted.
Barcelona Drive, Nolly C. and Velma S. Purcell.
The code sections are 6190A and H and 15132. Driveway and sidewalk are stained, shutters are closed, and sod is missing in the lawn. I observed this violation in 1/15/20, mailed the notice of violation, notice of hearing certified, and got the green card back signed but not dated. I'd like to enter into evidence, Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing, Exhibit 2, verification of ownership, and Exhibit 3, pictures.
So if you take a picture of dark sidewalks on a rainy day, it looks even worse. Good photo skills. All right, you have a signed green card. What would you like?
Compliance by 4:30 or the 5/13 fine assessment hearing, or a $25 a day fine.
Granted.
20-0080 Las Palmas Street, Progress Residential Borrower 1 LLC.
Code section is 6190A and 1540F. Drive and sidewalk are stained. Vegetation growing over the sidewalk does not have 8-foot 6-inch clearance over the sidewalk. I observed this violation on 1/22/20, now the notice of violation, notice of hearing certified, and got the green card back signed. I'd like to enter into evidence, Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing, Exhibit 2, verification of ownership, and Exhibit 3, pictures.
All right, you have a signed green card. You have service, which is
We're asking for compliance by 3/26 or the 4/8 fine assessment hearing, or a $50 a day fine.
granted.
20-0088 329 Las Palmas Street, Trinetta C. Taylor and Garth Roden.
The code section is 6190A, tarp on roof and gutter in disrepair. I observed this violation on 1/22/20, mailed the notice of violation, notice of hearing certified, and got the green card back signed but not dated. I'd like to enter into evidence, Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing, Exhibit 2, verification of ownership, Exhibit 3, picture, and Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
There, now it's in the right order. All right, you have a signed green card. Is this a finding?
Finding of fact.
Granted.
20-0014 1333 Donwoods Lane, James R. Bonaventura.
This is why I'm on my third pressure cleaner. Between my fence, my double-wide circular driveway. Can't afford that.
Okay. Code section 06190A1 and 5, sidewalk stained. Observed this on 1/3/20. The notice of violation, notice of hearing were mailed out 1/3/20 and were signed for on 1/22/20. I'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures. Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
Signed, green card equals service, finding of fact is granted.
Thank you.
20-0017, 1466 Denlow Lane, Progress Residential Borrower 7 LLC.
Code Section 06-190A15, sidewalk is staying. I observed this 1/3/20. The notice of violation, notice of hearing were mailed out 1/3/20 and were signed for on 1/7/20. I'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, notice of violation. Notice of hearing and notice of violation. Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
You didn't, you like their fence color too? That's why I have a pressure cleaner. You gotta do the fence like every year or two. All right, what would you like on this one?
We're asking for compliance by 4:30 or the 5:13 fine hearing or $25 a day fine.
Granted.
Thank you.
20-0019, 1476 Thornridge Lane, Tricia Colon and Jonathan Stash.
Code Section 06-190A1, 3 and 5, the driveway and sidewalk are stained. I observed this 1/3/20. The notice of violation, notice of hearing were mailed out 1/3/20 and were signed for on 1/8/20. We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of hearing and notice of violation. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
Signed, green card equals service. Hopefully they have a writing pressure cleaner. What would you like on this one?
Compliance by 4:30 or the 5:13 fine hearing or $25 a day fine.
Granted. Wish I had a stamp.
20-0037, 101 Hemingway Court, Progress Residential 2015, 3 Borrower LLC.
Code Section 14-2, miscellaneous items. I observed this on 1/10/20. The notice of violation, notice of hearing were mailed out 1/10/20 and were posted. I'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of hearing, notice of violation, affidavit of service. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership, and Exhibit 3, pictures.
Service via posting. Okay, what do you want?
Compliance
4:30.
by 326
3:20.
or the 4/8 fine hearing or $25 a day fine.
326, 4825 is granted.
20-0052, 743 Hibiscus Drive, BHA Properties LLC.
Code Section 14-4A, 2317, 2318, B3B, 14-2, 12-4C, 06190H. Disabled vehicle, vehicle parked over the sidewalk, vehicle parked on the front lawn, miscellaneous items, recycle bin in public view, wood placed over the windows. I observed this on 1/16/20. The notice of violation, it was mailed out on 1/22/20. We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of hearing, notice of violation. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures. And Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
Ooh, finding of fact?
Yes, sir.
That's a big one. Finding of fact is granted.
Thank you.
20-0093, 100 Colony Drive, Mary A. and Joseph Bonfanti.
They're just early for next year.
Code Section 06-190,
Next
Prince
season.
H, storm shutters are up. I observed this on 1/23/20. The notice of violation, notice of hearing were mailed out 1/23/20 and were posted. I'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of hearing, notice of violation, and affidavit of service. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
They're just early birds. You have service via posting. What would you like?
Compliance by 326 or the 4/8 fine hearing or $25 a day fine.
Granted.
Thank you.
20-0117, 10317 Oliver Lane, Janice Roberts Marshall.
Code Section 06-190, Prince H, 12-4C, boards are covering the windows, recycle bin in public view. I observed this on 1/24/20. The notice of violation, notice of hearing were mailed out on 1/24/20 and were posted. I'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of hearing, notice of violation, affidavit of service. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures. Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
You're on a roll with those. All right, you have service via posting. Finding of fact is granted.
Thank you.
20-0129, 112 Nottingham Road, IH4 Property, Florida LP.
Code Section 06-190A15, sidewalk stained in the rear of the property. I observed this on 1/27/20. The notice of violation, notice of hearing were mailed out 1/27/20 and was signed for on 2/3/20. We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of hearing, notice of violation. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership, and Exhibit 3, pictures.
That's some serious mold. You have a signed green card.
Compliance by 4:30 or the 5/13 fine hearing or $25 a day fine.
Granted.
Thank you.
20-0132, 101 Hemingway Court, Progress Residential 2015, 3 Borrower LLC.
I get this deja vu feeling.
Code Section 06-190A13, the driveway is stained. I observed this on 1/29/20. The notice of violation, notice of hearing were mailed out 1/29/20 and were posted. I would like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of hearing with notice of violation, affidavit of service. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership, and Exhibit 3, pictures.
Okay, you have an affidavit of service. What would you like?
And Special Magistrate, if you could remove 14-4A from your agenda, which is disabled vehicle that's being removed.
Okay,
The
so
remaining-
it's just the sidewalk?
Yes, sir. The
Driveway.
remaining compliance by 4:30 or 5:13 or $25 a day fine.
Granted.
Thank you.
20-0189, 868 Lilac Drive, U.S. Bank Trust, N.A. trustee.
Code Section 1557, grass and weeds exceeds height allowed. I observed this on 2/5/20. The notice of violation, notice of hearing were mailed out 2/5/20 and were signed for on 2/10/20. We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership, and Exhibit 3, pictures.
They must be irrigating this stuff because it's growing good. All right, you have a signed green card. What do you like?
Compliance by 326 or the 4/8 fine hearing or $25 a day fine.
Granted.
19-1815, 1094 Concert Way, Gene R. Caesar.
Sorry. Code section 06190.
A15 and H.
35 H 14.2, 15.132, 15.143, 2318B, 2317. Shutters, sidewalk is stained. Shutters stored on front porch, lawn and swell have bare areas. Parking on front lawn, parking on or over sidewalk. Observe this violation on 12/30/19. Send out notice of violation, notice of hearing on 12/31/19. Posted it to the property. Like to enter those following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice violation, notice of hearing, affidavit of service. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
I like the boat. Okay.
Well, it's okay.
Just to
You'd think you'd recycle, or someone steal those and recycle them.
a correction for your agenda, 23, it says 8B, it should be 18B.
2318B?
Yes, sir. Sections 14 LE section 14-2, which is the shutter stored on the front porch is a finding of fact.
Okay.
The remaining code sections we're asking for compliance by 4:30 or the 5:13 fine assessment hearing or $25 a day fine.
Granted.
20-0005, 204 Sandpiper Avenue, Lauren Farina and Emilio R. Graveron.
Code sections 12.4C and 14.4, garbage can in public view, disabled vehicle. I observed this violation on 1/2/20, sent out notice of violation, notice of hearing on 1/2/20, and posted it to the property. Like to enter the following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing, affidavit of service. Exhibit 2, verification ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
Oh, wrong again. All right, you have service via posting 4:30?
No, this one, 12-4C, which is the garbage can in public view is a finding of fact.
Okay.
14-4 compliance by 4:30 or the 5:13 fine hearing or $25 a day fine.
All right, 435-1325 is granted.
Thank you.
20-0031, 219 Sandpiper Avenue, Cynthia J. Roman. And that should be actually the correction. The new last name is, I'll spell it, Juarbe.
Code section is 2318B,
You didn't
parking
pronounce
on the
it.
front lawn. I observed this violation on 12/30/19, sent out notice of violation, notice of hearing on 1/9/20, and received it back on 1/15/20. I'd like to enter those following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures. Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
Oh, good. Okay, signed green card equals service, finding fact is granted.
Thank you.
20-0049, 68 Sparrow Place, IH6 property, Florida LP.
Code sections 15-141 and 15-132, dead trees and dead palm fronds. I observed this violation on 1/15/20. Sent out notice of violation, notice of hearing on 1/15/20. They signed for it on 1/27/20. I'd like to enter those following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures. I don't have the permit information, but they don't have the permit anyhow.
Okay. You have a signed green card. Do you have service? What would you like?
Compliance by 4:30 or the 5:13 fine hearing or $25 a day fine.
Granted.
Thank you.
20-0083, 133 Finch Court, Diego Betancourt and Roxana Ponce.
Code section is 2317, parking on or over the sidewalk. I observed the violation on 1/22/20. Sent out notice of violation, notice of hearing on 1/22/20, and received it on 1/30/20. I'd like to enter the following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
Why? Signed, green card equals service.
We're asking for compliance by 326 or the 4/8 fine assessment hearing or $25 a day fine.
Granted.
Thank you.
20-0090-232 Sandpiper Avenue, Thomas K. Howard Jr. and Lisa E. Tice.
Code Section 06190A1, the structure is stained. I observe this violation on 1/22/20. Send out notice of violation, notice of hearing on 1/23/20. He signed for it on 1/27/20. I'd like to enter the following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures. Exhibit 4, affidavit
Finding
compliance.
of fact is granted.
Thank you.
20-0122 107 South State Road 7, Bay Point LLC.
Code section is 2041, prohibited signs. I observe this violation on 1/25/20. Sent out notice of violation, notice of hearing on 1/27/20. Received it on 1/31/20. I'd like to enter the following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
Waffle fries? Who is this?
Pollo Tropical.
Oh, do you want to do like breakfast too? Have you had the Wendy's Baconator yet? Oh my God.
No.
All right, what would you like?
Compliance by 326 or the 4/8 fine hearing or $25 a day fine.
Thank you.
32648,
Yes, sir, or $25 a day fine.
25. You gotta try it, it's really good.
Next is 20-0207 165 South State Road 7, Legacy Shops LLC.
The code sections 12:7, 12:18, 12:54, 6195A, B, 4, 6, D, F, 1, 2. The description: dumpsters towards the north end of the property are full of trash, and the enclosures and dumpsters need to be clean. Buzzards are constantly perched on the enclosure, tearing up the bags, creating an unsanitary
And I
nuisance.
love the way you put 3 of them up there.
I
just
know,
for
isn't that
show.
perfect?
That's just
They're
like,
always there.
all right, so signed green card equals service. The dumpster people need to fix their stuff. What,
We're-
326 or?
No, we're asking for compliance by 331.
The restaurant needs to quit throwing all that other stuff away.
4/8 fine assessment hearing or $150 a day fine.
Okay, granted. Poor buzzards are gonna lose their meal.
I know.
20-02099950 Belvedere Road, Murphy Oil USA, Inc.
The code sections 15132, 1514195, 2349B, 15, 6195, or 6190A and 6195. Hedges are overgrown, protruding onto the parking lot and blocking the stop sign. Landscape is not maintained. There's dead and dying or missing trees. Stop sign missing, roof stained, and it could be that the paint's actually gone from it, but it almost looks like it's stained. So I'm not quite sure.
Signed green card and just too much.
We're asking for compliance by 4/30 or the 5/13 fine assessment hearing or $75 a day fine.
Good, I like the variety. It'd keep me awake. 75.
20-0210-11001 Southern Boulevard, IVT, Southern Royal Palm Beach, 1031 LLC.
Oops,
Code
sorry.
section 2041 and 2349A6B, description: massage envy and outback trailer parked on property are prohibited vehicles being stored on the property, and there's also a stop sign missing. This violation was observed on 2/12/2020, and it was sent certified mail on that day. It was signed for on 2/18/2020. I would like to enter the following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership, and Exhibit 3, pictures.
Signed green card equals service.
We're asking for compliance by 326 or the 4/8 fine hearing or $75 a day fine.
Granted. Anything further?
No, sir.
Please let the record reflect that I signed, I believe, 3 sets of minutes for January and February, and yeah, and the special meeting one, so it makes the 3. And anything further before the magistrate?
Oh, yeah.
No, sir.
All right, we are adjourned.